This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all it counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Hey, folks. Welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd, and here with me I have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, just living my life like it's golden. Just what? Oh man, I'm chilling, man. What's good with you, man?
I'm doing all right, man. Doing all right. Started the show kind of late. And when we normally when we start the show kind of late, it's because of some shit I got into. And yeah, I'll talk to you about it once we get off of recording the show and off of recording or off of streaming. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, man, you said you want to start with the previewing the 5-star Grand Prix, which comes as a surprise to me because like I feel like two of the last 3 weeks or so, like you want to start with Stardom, and I'm just like, I thought I was the Stardom merchant on this podcast, sir. What's going on?
I'm just at all times trying to maintain my status as a top 75 Stardom voice in the West. I do not want to be put on the Retro Red Leaf podcast, and I do not want my audio played back calling me any kind of fraud or anything. I want to make sure I cover the third best promotion in the world, like thoroughly when we have the opportunities to, with the correct analysis. So without further ado, I will hit the music. Stardom.
All right. So, the 5-star Grand Prix this year, for those that are familiar, very similar to, or those who are unfamiliar, very similar to the New Japan G1 Climax. It's a round robin tournament split, with all the contestants split evenly into 2 blocks. They will face everybody in their respective blocks. And then based off wins, losses, and draws, they will be awarded points. If you win your match, also this year is a 15-minute time limit, I believe, like most years it was. If you win your match, you get 2 points. If you lose your match, if you tie, you get 1 point. If you lose, you get not shit. So after you tally all that up and you go through tiebreakers, you determine who wins the block. That winner of their block will go to the final and face the winner of the other block. The blocks in the 5-star Grand Prix are called the Blue Stars and the Red Stars. We will switch off and call it red blocks and blue blocks. We'll call it colors. If you want Crips and Bloods, whatever you want to do, it's all good. So this year it will be the most like the prior traditional New Japan G1 blocks where there are 10 wrestlers in each block. And this thing is loaded. It has been noted. Man. We have talked about this over the years of, last year there were 26 wrestlers and we were thinking like, wow, we're going to come up on a point where you're going to be quality wrestlers that just will not make the cut. And this is a young group of wrestlers with average age of about 27 at this point. and we're like, wow, like, Lady C, somebody that's good enough that could probably be in the tournament now at this point. Saida has proved herself. Tekla missed last year because of injury. She's definitely one of the 20 best wrestlers in this promotion. And we were thinking just cutting down to 26, how hard it would be. They cut down to 20. There are people that are going to be on these undercards and some of these tags that are going to be furious that they did not make this Grand Prix.
Hey, man, this promotion, this Bushiroad promotion had the heart and made the correct call to cut this shit down to 20.
Good point.
Just saying.
Good point. And they did not like need a whole outfit of gaijins to flock in that are like on the sub brand in America to come in to get to that number either. This is all Nihon doing this basically, except for like Mariah May.
Yeah, man. I watched. I'll just quickly mention, like, I've been following a little bit of the G1 so far, and there's some nasty tropes already jumping out, like for as far as things not to like.
Okay.
But it looks like there's a slow start for pretty much all the main eventers, and there's been some good matches. As far as like one where I really liked the Gene Blast, Yoda Tsuji and Kaito Kiyomiya. I've been just looking at a couple of the other things, though. I expect nothing now from Gabe Kidd and Alex Coughlin when I was excited about those guys going into it. And I think they obviously Kenta is doing his thing, and then there's just a lot of shitters up and down that you do not have in the Stardom 5-star Grand Prix.
Right. And I mean, that's been the case since the pandemic. Like, I think 2020 probably the G1 was probably still better just because the high end was so high, but like the floor is higher in Stardom. But then, last year in 2021, the 5-star Grand Prix was a better round robin tournament both years. When I found out they were cutting down to 20, and then when they gave out that name of like the first 18, I was like, oh, they finna three-peat, right? It's Shaq and Kobe, Jordan and Pippen, all that. So, Barnes type of crazy thing with injuries, type of weird booking, whatever else. This thing's gonna be loaded, and I think to a lot of people's talk that I've heard about with the G1 so far, they have enjoyed, like, even though there's more matches, they have enjoyed the part where like it's a 20-minute time limit, so the matches don't drag out. Well, 5-star Grand Prix has been at 15 except for 2021. So like 15 minutes. If you are a person that likes sprint wrestling, this is the tournament for you, because all you're finna get is like matches that go 8 minutes, 13 minutes, and they are just basically just trying to drop people on their heads and necks, and then other people trying to get right back up and continue fighting. It's awesome.
Love it.
The last 2 years, opening nights have been incredible. Shows packed with some, at least four 4-star matches on both shows. This year they decided to go, instead of a Saturday, Sunday double header weekend, they decided to do with one weekend, opening weekend, and the card is loaded. Rich, do you want to start with going down let's actually go down the blocks, and we'll get to to night one. But going down this block, let's start with the red block. The red block is absolutely loaded. The red block starts with Ami Sourei, Hazuki, Mayu Iwatani, Natsuko Tora, Natsupoi. I should probably stop and I'm gonna start from the beginning again. Ami Sourei, Hazuki, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Mayu Iwatani, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Natsuko Tora, Natsupoi, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Saya Kamitani, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Starlight Kid, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Suzu Suzuki, one of the best wrestlers in the world. Shuri, one of the elite wrestlers in the world. Tam Nakano, one of the best wrestlers in the world. I feel like I just said eight wrestlers that were some of the best wrestlers in the world out of 10. I feel like this is a pretty loaded block.
Yeah, man. Like, this is like, you started talking about great blocks that you've ever seen. This might be the single best Stardom block ever. By the time all is said and done, especially taking into account the younger versions of some of these people who are just better now than they were. And then, the blue block is, it's not like the blue block is some slouch block either.
Correct.
Like, you know, Zek Maki actually brings up a good point. He said people were hoping Mercedes would try to do a 5-star GP. I don't put that out of the question if she was healthy. Like, could she have like done that if she wanted to check a bucket list?
Right. That's the only reason why it would happen. It's something that she wanted to do, and they were like, okay, well, we're not going to say no.
Right. But yeah, just looking at this block, there's lots of intriguing matchups, I think, between you know, Shuri and Suzu Suzuki in night one. Yep. Obviously Saya Kamatani and Tam Nakano, like, they've had a long, lengthy history. Nasty Boy and Starlight Kid, they've had, you know, awesome matches in the past. Mayu Watani being in there with Starlight Kid, they are usually fighting on the last day of the block. And
it's now happened for a third straight year.
Is this the year? Is Starlight Kid finally going to do it and beat her?
I mean, at some point, she has to, like, beat her in advance, right? Because, like, I feel like the last 2 years, 2021 and 2022, Kid was in a win and get in situation, depending on a little bit of luck or whatever, but was in contention till final night. And Mayu, because of, you know, Oedo Tai shenanigans or whatever else, would be, like, already pseudo eliminated, and then Mayu would beat Kid, and then, like, Mayu gets her record to where, like, she finishes, like, top 3 in her block or something like that, but was eliminated before the bell actually rang, kind of. At some point, it's gonna have to happen.
Tam Mayu is there. The throwback matchup, like one of the first great short Stardom matches I ever loved. Starlight Kid versus Hazuki. Let's run it back.
Yeah. Think how much better Starlight Kid is now than then.
Bro, it's gonna be great. I haven't mentioned any Natsuko Tora.
She's there to play spoiler. Like, she's Fale.
But you know, Ami's in there with Shuri. Yes. I guess we should start going through. Let's go through each person and name, like, you know, 2 big matches or 3 big matches of theirs.
Okay, so all right, so I'm doing alphabetical order, first name alphabetical. Yeah. So I'm going with Ami Sourei. So for me, I'm looking at her last match, and it's versus Shuri, and, like, that's a big match for her. Obviously, she's number 3 in her faction. She's facing her faction leader, and she's obviously, that's going to be the match to showcase, like, her growth over the past year and a half, roughly, in Stardom. Was the former Futures champion, lost it to Rena earlier in the year. I feel like, you know, given last year that she had a winning record, she went on a big streak in the back half of the tournament, I believe. I don't know if she goes on a streak at any point, but, like, obviously, given that she's now the big woman on the block, now that, you know, Himeka has left the promotion. I feel like, you know, she's going to have a good showing. So, you know, things I'm looking forward to her is matches versus Kamatani, given her match in the white belt for the white belt with her. In Mayu, because she had a really good match with Mayu as well. So those would be the ones that come to mind for me.
I think also we should mention, like, this night one is Ami and Tora against each other, right? Yeah. And it's like the rest of the block, like they're getting that right out the way. So it's like, which one of y'all fighting for who's y'all fighting for the seller, essentially? Like, let's see, like, who's going to try to stand out. So I got a feeling it's Ami. So
yeah, I mean, they could have Tora win, because obviously, you know, Tora's not gonna. I don't know how Tora's gonna do well, but, you know, she's obviously gonna play spoiler. So, like, if she's gonna play spoiler to somebody big, she has to lose to somebody that you think that, like. She has to beat some people that you'd be like, I don't know, or whatever else. So, like, kind of make it interesting. I could see Tora beating her, but either way, like, that's gonna be early in the show, and, you know, early in the show, lower on the card, like, Tora and Ami can have a match where they just, you know, just shoulder tackle each other a bunch and hoss wrestle around and get out of there in, like, you know, 6 minutes. That could happen. So I don't think that match. I'm not actually concerned about that match. I'm more concerned about Tora versus, like, you know, somebody like, you know, the higher level wrestlers, where it's like, okay, this is somebody having a slot against somebody to have a 4-star match here, and you're now going to have some, you know, thing that's okay.
So next we got Hazuki
Yep.
So some of the matches I think would be interesting for Hazuki. Obviously, her and Saya Kamatani had an incredible match. I think that was earlier this year.
Yes, it was February's pay-per-view. Yeah.
Hazuki and Starlight Kid, as I mentioned,
Yes.
and Hazuki and Suzu Suzuki might be interesting as well.
I don't remember. Their match was really good last year. I don't remember how good though. I probably give it 4. I can't really remember because like there was a lot of this block is a continuation from the Blue Stars from last year. So like Hazuki, Mayu, Nasapoi, Kid, a lot of that was like that core, or that was a good chunk of it. And it's almost like they decided to break up. Like they took Shuri and Tam from that usual run and put that with them to kind of break up, the pattern. But yeah, that match is gonna be great. The matches that I most want to see, like obviously I'm just going to skip past that disappointing final night match for her, but I've wanted to see her versus Shuri ever since she came back. And when they're in tags, they're great together. And I've wanted to see a white belt or a big title, big showcase match with her and Tam for years. I'd only seen them wrestle one time before. That was 2019 Grand Prix, and that was really good, even though it was it went short. So like now that Tam's way better than then, and Hazuki is still Hazuki, like I want to see them have a killer match too. So those are two that come to mind. And like you just look at it, it's like she's never going to have bad matches. Like I forgot where I put her average star rating last year, but she was way up there. She may have been even the MVP for me, or behind Julia. But you look at who she has to wrestle, and it's like she even had a 4-star. I thought she had like a 4-star match with Ami last year, where like she just carried Ami. And like you look at this set of opponents, it's like she's going to have another killer tournament, regardless of the wins and losses, and whether or not she goes on a losing streak or a win streak like she did last year. She's just going to be great.
Yeah. So up next, of course, the icon Mayu Iwatani. Pick your poison on this one. Like she's got like lots of stuff that jumps out, including her and Tam, her and Shuri, her and Saya Kamatani, her and Starlight Kid. Like she's loaded in this thing. Yeah.
The one that I'm most interested in actually is her versus Mayu. I can't remember the date on it.
Who versus Mayu?
Mayu versus Shuri. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is on
September 3rd.
September 3rd on a pay-per-view. That's Hiroshima Sun Plaza. That's actually the same venue where Mayu dropped the belt to Utami, the red belt to Utami back in 2020. So yeah, like they've already set that up to be like that's going to be a gigantic match. Obviously with a 15-minute time limit, I feel like when I watch them in tags, they're on a certain level that is just higher than the matches they've had in singles matches before together, and that's kind of really saying something. Seeing that like I think I've seen them have 2 4.5-star matches before. Like the time limit might actually like get Mayu out of I have to sell for Shuri and have a more back and forth type of thing in a sprint type of form. So I think like that match could be electric. So that's number 1 on my list. I also opening night, lots of upsets last year. I think Hazuki could still one on Mayu this year.
Something to take note of. Up next, Natsuko Tora. I'm going to try to play this straight, but her and Starlight Kid, I think you want to start seeing that leadership struggle of Odeo Tai, and maybe Saya Kamatani in Natsuko, because, the whole thing for fall off from the cage match. Mm-hmm. If this was Utami or something, I think that would be a natural fit, but, Kamatani can kind of fight in her place. Aside from that, I don't have much for Natsuko.
So for me, looking at it, obviously they put Natsuko with Hazuki on last night for some reason. Obviously, Natsuko was Hazuki's retirement match when she retired in 2019 before she came back in 2021. But they never had a real like singles confrontation since then. They've had talks about how like what the hell are you doing back here, that sort of thing, but not like actual face-to-face confrontation. They can get to that here. So that would be something to point out from a storytelling standpoint. Stands out to me. Her versus Shuri, I enjoyed when they wrestled each other in 2020 in the G1, like or the G1, the Grand Prix, because like Shuri brought it out of her. She basically beat Natsuko into trying hard. So this was some Joe Jackson Like, bro, it was like, yeah, it pretty much. Like, I remember Nasco. Remember, she was doing the whole have these bad matches, grab the chain, throw somebody, wrap it around someone's neck, throw them over the rope, and hang them, and get the match thrown out on DQ and lose matches. Like, Shuri wasn't having none of that. She just beat her ass until Nasco tried to actually wrestle, and the match was good. So I'm interested in that. There's also like the long running her and Tam thing or whatever else. I could see Tam dropping a fall to her just cause, but just keep the points together. So those be the matches that come to mind for me.
Saya Kamatani, seeing this thing, she's got obviously Tam night one.
Yep.
That feels like upset alert. I mean, she did, well, actually, yeah, the generational struggle, they eliminated each other.
Yep.
I think so. I think they could set that up as a fall title match. Trying to see what else. Starlight Kid and Saya Kamatani is always a good pairing.
Of course.
Hazuki and Saya Kamatani, as we mentioned. Shuri and Saya Kamatani, all throughout. This was like the champions last year. They're red and the white, and here they are, colliding. She's got Suzu the last night.
Yep.
She's also got Mayu. So she's quietly loaded, I think, as well. On that.
She would be my pick to win this block. If not for the if they were to have broken up, Queen Quest were to have broken up, I would have predicted a Saya Kamatani and Utami final. And like, quite frankly, like, Kamatani's going to win one of the next 3 years. Whether it's this year, next year, or the year after that, she's winning this fucking tournament. So, she's going to be on watch she's going to be, in contention for a long time. And she's always, in the last 2 years, she's fared well as far as like being in her block, like in contention. Like, last year she had the lead going to the final night and blew it. And the year before, I think it was the same thing. Or no, 2021 was she came into it and blew it. And then last year she was in contention, just ultimately didn't get it done. So while being a champion, which is saying something. So yeah, obviously, as you mentioned, Starlight Kid. Now you mentioned Master Shuri. Rich, I implore you, go to the 2021 G1. I think it's Grand Prix. I think it's either the first show or the second show, because Shuri faced her and Mike in the same weekend. Watch Kamatani versus Shuri, and then watch Micah versus Shuri too, because Shuri was fucking awesome. She beat the shit out of both of them, and it was awesome. So I want to see another one of those. Obviously, more competitive match now that Kamatani's leveled up since then, but I want to see that. Her versus Mayu, like, the things they showed in the first generational struggle match, is basically having a high speed, pairing off. That was super fun. So
tall, high speed.
And obviously the Tam match. So, like, there's no bad matches for her except for maybe Nasco, because Nasco, has injured her before. But that's it.
Me being the hater I am, I skipped over Natsupoi on accident. So Natsupoi also here. I think her and Tam, maybe, she has a chance to win me over again here.
Wait.
Here they are fighting.
Let me get this right. You hate Natsupoi more than Tam, but if she faces Tam, then you'll root for Natsupoi because that means Tam may lose.
No. I don't care who wins. I need her to show some fight and not just going behind somebody.
Oh man, that's hilarious. All right, so
show some fighting spirit. Show your own will. Get out of the mud, Natsupoi.
All right, so Natsupoi and Tam, obviously that's the last night of the block, so that's definitely a highlight for me. Her versus Shuri, I've wanted to see that match in full form. They've always been opposite blocks, and like Shuri and Natsupoi,
got a lot of checks to cut.
When Shuri and Natsupoi get in the ring and tag together, like Shuri hits her as hard as she would hit Utami. So like I think that match is gonna be incredible. Like her, we've seen her have great matches with all these people before. Or it seems like Kid, we've seen her have great matches. Suzu, we saw her have a great match last year. Her and Mayu have had great matches the last 2 years. Her and Kamatani have had classics at this point. Yeah. So Hazuki, that was a great match too. Yeah. Like, I want to see. You know what? I will throw this on her. I want to see Ami have a great match with Natsupoi. Like, if we're gonna have if Ami is going to progress, she needs to have a great match with Natsupoi, because like everybody has great matches with Natsupoi, like unless you're in a strap match, that's it. So, yeah, that'd be what I've been looking for: Shuri match, the Tam match, and also the Ami match, because I want to see like the level up over the year that Ami's had.
I think I'm interested in Natsupoi and Suzu Suzuki.
Yep.
I got a feeling I'm going to be, hurting in my pockets. I got a lot of checks to cut to, inflict some pain upon Natsupoi until, man, I'm going to have to give Tam money too, huh? Now that I think about it.
I don't know how you get down with Tam. The only reason why you flipped up on Natsupoi because you with Tam. So I don't know how you feel about Tam.
Yeah, I ain't above cutting a check for Tam to inflict some pain, Shout out to Chihiro Hashimoto, dropping Natsupoi over the rope.
Yeah, I saw that. I'll get to that match too, but there was so much fucking wrestling. Like, you had Collision, you had opening weekend of the G1, you had Triplemania, whatever AAA thing it was. Was that Triplemania?
It was.
Yeah, that was one of the Triplemanias. You had the Collision stuff. Like, there was so much stuff, and then you had, as you just mentioned, the Sendai show. So there was just a lot of stuff that I'm gonna have to get through it later in the week, and then maybe if there's time, we'll talk about it later in the week or next week, or whatever else. But I'll get to it. I'll try to. I'm always feel like I'm always behind on watching quality wrestling. Meanwhile, I'm watching other nonsense. But whatever. Up next, Starlight Kid. Man, I'm always gonna want to see the Mayu match first and foremost. Because the story is like, when is she gonna beat her? And like, when she beats her, is that gonna take her over the top to where like she can, make a final, potentially even win the thing, because she's like, has that boost from actually beating her on the final night. Seen a lot of these matches already before. I've never seen her with Shuri. I know it keeps coming up, but like, now that like,
Tam Shuri, wow, yeah. Now
that Tam and Shuri are like basically in this block with like the high speedsters, like, I'm really interested to see what they do. So, it's almost like, for years now, it's been like Azumi has been like the speedster for Shuri, and Kid has been the speedster for Julia. Now that they're like flipped now, it's like, all right, so now I gotta wrestle the other one now. So I'm really interested to see how that goes. I'm interested to see how the tour thing goes, because like, are they going to have her leak points to her quote unquote leader and be on that bullshit or not?
Yeah, I think that's something to really think about. Like, if you're someone that's a Starlight Kid is a dark horse person to win a block or something, I think if she beats Natsuko Tora, I say you run to the register and start. But if she loses to her, you prepare for heartbreak, I think. And her and Natsupoi, that's always a natural match.
Mm-hmm.
Starlight Kid and Kamatani have always done well together.
Yep.
I can't recall really Tam and Starlight Kid really ever getting into it.
They have. It's weird. They weirdly have, given how good they are, given their history as both being in stars and all that kind of stuff. They weirdly, and also we were tag team before. Like, they weirdly do not have good chemistry. Like, Tam has better matches with Azumi. Starlight Kid, like, they've had two matches in like the last, I can remember, like 2020, like early 2021, before Tam won the white belt. They had a match because Tam got pinned by Kid, and Tam ended up pinning her back in a singles match. And that match was it was like a 3.5 star thing. You expect better from both of them. And then they gave Starlight Kid a white belt match against Tam that won on a pay-per-view. It was on a Road to level venue or whatever else. And that match was great. Well, I thought it was great. But like, I think most people gave it like 3 3/4. But the whole match was based around like Oedo Tai's cheating like crazy. Tam has a bad back, and Starlight Kid is wearing out her back, and like, can Tam like fight through the bad back and all that kind of stuff to win, and eventually won. But like, they have been just adequate. They have not been like all right, go punch in the 4 1/4. Haven't had one of those yet, and it's still at play. But we'll see.
So we got Suzuki. So Suzu is away from Julia. No ice lore, unfortunately for me. But in lieu of the ice lore, she gets to essentially, it seems like a fresh slate for her. Going in there with Tam, that should be pretty good.
And they've sold that heavily over the generational struggle stuff and also some of the road twos.
Yes,
like they want to have a match with each other.
And looking at that generational struggle match, Suzuki seems like she's just this unhinged like youth that is like has lived a rough life and is willing to just challenge people that may be too big for her britches, but she doesn't know that she's like not there yet. But I think that's like what makes her almost as good as she is. Yeah. A bit of like a reckless abandon, if you will. Like too young to know that you're not supposed to be able to do these sorts of things, or too young, too inexperienced for your own good. Well, besides that, her and Tam, I think her and Hazuki should be fire. Her and Kamatani seem natural, and then like she's really calling out Shuri. So she's set up to really impress. So the Kamatani match for me in particular, because like I really wanted Suzu to beat her in the Grand Prix last year and get us a white belt match, but ultimately didn't happen. Like one thing I wish in this block, if we had swapped out one person and put Mirai in this block, because like Suzu and Mirai have such great chemistry, like from the New Blood stuff to their Grand Prix rematch. Yes,
like they're just great together. But yeah, like as you mentioned, Shuri, Tam comes to mind. But she was great with everybody else, like from all the high speedsters, like Poi and SOK and Hazuki. Like it's just one of those things where it's like you come up with 2 or 3, and you're also like, well, shit, the next 4 could also be just as good too. It's like this is just a loaded block with people that have even history from last year's blue block. So yeah, next Shuri. Up will be Shuri. I mean,
take your pick. Shuri versus Mayu comes to mind for me. Shuri's kind of like at this level now where it's like, yeah, I don't think she'll ever be the red belt champion again, but it's just like, show us how fucking great you are as much as possible, please, until you decide otherwise.
So, my question for you is, where are you setting the over-under for her average star rating of this tournament?
The time is tricky for me on that, but I would think it'd be 4, like 3.75, 4 stars, something like that.
I feel like she's gonna. I feel like there's only 2 matches on here where she won't finish with 4. So like I feel like it's gonna be higher than 4.
Yeah. So Shuri and Tam, that's gonna be a joy.
They're always look, man. Their tournament matches are always phenomenal. Like I gave. The last 2 years when they were with each other, I gave them both 4.25. And I thought last year's one, I almost gave it 4.5. Like they're just great together in the time limit. Like it's such an easy match because like Shuri's such a badass and Tam's one of the best sellers in the world. And the whole thing is like, can Tam withstand the onslaught and then Tam, makes her charge, and then it's a tie game, and it's like, where are we going from here? Like, the way that Shuri just shut off Tam's water at the very end when she had her last gas to try to get a win last year and then had to choke her out, it was awesome. So, I made sure to see that again. I'm trying to think, where is that in the schedule?
That is
9:20 in Osaka. Is another one, because the last 2 years, it's been late, like one of the last matches, so they've done it again to put them at the end. And it's going to obviously have ramifications for, the leaderboard at the top going into the final night. So that's cool. I'm trying to see, what is it? We already mentioned the Mayu match on a pay-per-view, so that's going to be great. So that's also high on the list. Okay. Kamatani on 9-9. Yeah. That's going to be a killer match too. Because like that 9-9 Korakuen Hall show is loaded. Like, that's Tam and Suzu. That's Shuri and Kamatani. That's, I'm trying to think who else is on that card. Let me go through.
Shuri, or Starlight Kid and Hazuki.
Natsupoi. Sorry, not Natsupoi. Yeah, like the whole, let me go through, because I actually have a tab down here to go through 9-9. 9-9 is loaded. 9-9. Hazuki versus Starlight Kid, Saya versus Shuri, Suzu versus Tam, Julia versus Micah, Mariah versus Ano. It's loaded. It's loaded. It's disgusting. So yeah, seeing that you have that Kamatani match there, they're gonna try and not get outdone by Julia and Mariah. So yeah, or Tam and Suzu. So yeah, they're gonna kill it. So yeah, those would be my matches.
Then the red belt champion Tam Nakano. Right off the rip, night one, her and Saya Kamatani.
Yep.
Of course, her and Natsupoi. And her and Mayu, I think is her and Mayu is always, she's still chasing the win over Mayu.
Yep.
Which I don't know if she's going to get or not, because part of me wants to pick Mayu Iwatani to win this block on some Hiroshi Tanahashi 2018 shit. And I hear the arguments between, I'm like, whoever beats Tam is not winning the block. That's what I'm telling myself. So I feel like Mayu can lose to Tam and still win the block, if that makes any sense.
Wait, say that again?
I feel like Mayu can lose to Tam and still win the block.
I don't know how you have Tam beat Mayu inside of 15 minutes at this point, given the story they've told with each other since 2019. Tam has never been able to beat her. She had 30 minutes, and she needed 30 minutes and 5 seconds to beat her, but she didn't beat her in 30 minutes. So get to 15 at this point, I don't think that's happening. I'm expecting the time limit draw. And we get a match down the line later in the year, maybe at the beginning of next year, who knows? But at some point, they're going to have the match, and we'll finally have someone win the match after they've gone to time limit draws the last 3 times.
I've got Mayu Iwatani winning this block, and I'm going to pick Saya over Tam night one, and that's going to give Saya a red belt match after the Grand Prix. But ultimately, Mayu will go to the finals. I have not picked my blue block winner yet, so we'll see if it makes sense.
Okay. So, obviously, there's a bunch of matches, as you talked about, the Natsupoi match, the Mayu match. The matches that I want to see the most out of Tam, the Hazuki match that I've, haven't seen in 4 years. To see the Mayu match is also a big deal because it's so fun. And I want to see her versus Suzu after they've been kind of eyeing each other about the generational struggle thing and everything else, and the way they've sold this the way they sold that generational struggle. The second match was 3 of these matches where they were double eliminations were all right, Kamatani and Tam, y'all face off on the first night. Shuri and Suzu, y'all face off later on, I think on the 9-9 show. And then there was also Mariah and Juliet also faced on the 9-9 show, and they double eliminate each other or whatever. So or not double eliminate each other, but they went face to face before somebody Mayu and Mariah double eliminate each other. But they were talking about they were doing that match to set up Korakuen Halls and other matches through that. So yeah, that's what I'm interested in. But as far as a winner, I got either Kamatani or Mayu. Now I was thinking Mayu. If Utami doesn't win the blue block, then I think Mayu can win it. I feel like at this point, the 2 people that I would put 1 and 2 on this thing to win it would be Utami and Mayu at this point. I would have Julia on a chance to go double back to back, but she faces Utami in the last night too, and I don't think that's going to have a winner.
Man, blue block. Let's get to it. Start with Azumi. So, AZM. So looking at Azumi's, there's always Azumi and Momo. Former team members. I gotta say, Azumi's tournament does not excite me too much. which is crazy. It just doesn't feel like she's matched. It doesn't feel like she's matched against the type of wrestlers that would allow her to do what she does best. Like, she should be in the other block, it feels like. But you got to switch those stories up. That's the only thing.
Yeah. She has people that she can have quality matches with. And I think
this seems like she's gonna get fucked. Like, she's gonna be having 7-minute matches here, and it's gonna be like, it's another year. Yeah, it's gonna be like, damn, another year of them not really letting Azumi stretch her legs. Yeah. I already see that too. But what I will say is I feel like she will maximize her time better compared to last year, when, like, last year's block she had, like, there was Mai Sakurai, Kaguma, and Momo Kogo, and all caps Saki, that, in Sakishima, like, it was a lot of, like, the lowest floors on the, an entire tournament were, like, mostly on that red block. Nobody from the red block on average star rating was, even top 5 in average star rating in the tournament, because you had so many people who was like, that's hurting your average, that's hurting your average, that's hurting your average. I feel like this block is more balanced to where, like, she can still have a quality tournament even though, her minutes are low. Like, I feel like her PER will be still very high. So Zach Mike said this is for her breaking away from the high speed style that she kind of teased when she lost that belt, in his opinion.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like she can't wrestle high. She can't wrestle normal, pace matches. We've seen her do that at times. But I feel like, with the right people, because there's enough talent in this block, like, off the top of my head, like, I'm really interested to see what she does with Julia, because I've seen her and Julia have had great chemistry at times in tags, in trios matches, or whatever else. But they, like I said, like, it's kind of been paired off where it's like, your Donna Del Mondo senior member that you wrestle all the time is Shuri, and, like, Starlight Kid has Julia, and now they have to swap. Like, now is the time to actually see what they do. And, like, they've already done the whole, Azumi wants a strong title match, so women's strong title match, so, like, that's at play already. Her and Michael, we've seen her have matches with Mike before that have been very good. Her and Utami always, like, it don't matter the amount of time, it's always going to be a great match, so you have that. I would probably say, depends on if Momo's on that bullshit or not. If Momo wants to flash back and be like what she used to be, then, like, yeah, that match would be great, but if not, then I'll take the Mina match, because Mina, is definitely wants to step up to the challenge of being able to wrestle someone like Azumi and, like, have a match that shows both of their stronger qualities. So yeah, those would be my 3 for her.
Then Julia. So looking at Julia's block, of course, the long-awaited Julia versus Utami match. Yep. You kind of like I tried to forget, that there might not be a winner here. I don't think they have any incentive to pick one of them,
right?
But that would be boring to predict draws. So I'm gonna pick Utami beating her.
Okay.
But as far as the other matches, I'm excited for Julia. I will probably go with her and Mina. I think that would be an interesting match. I think her and Mirai would be a real rough match.
I loved their match last year. More than most people too.
And Mariah May, because all that trolling stuff ain't really gonna work on Julia, it feels like.
That match is in KBS Hall. They have to try to have a good match. Well, time to put on your hard hat, Mariah. You got to bring it straight up. So for me, obviously, the Utami match, and after that, I would say the Seriano match, because of, like, the ice lore, of course. Like, they're good together. Like, when they in the title change from Restart to Bari, whatever the hell, Tekla, Mai and Julia call themselves as a trios team. I think that's very good based off their interactions alone. And, like, I want to, you mentioned Mina. I want to see what a more competitive Mina and Julia match looks like. Because, the last 2 years has been Julia just smoked her because she's, Tam's underling. So Now that she's on her own, she was a white belt champion. She's a tag champion. I want to see like what a more competitive back and forth match between those two look like. So yeah, that would be mine. But obviously, you know, if that doesn't do it, the Mariah match will, because they're great together.
Yeah, man. So moving on,
Bari Bombers. That's the name of Tekla, Julia, and Mai.
Hanan. So Hanan versus Julia. Right to the top. Hanan versus Utami. It's like almost like, hey, these are the people you're going to be one day. So you might as well go ahead and show us what you got against these folks. Also, Hanan versus Mariah. I imagine, you know, you look at Mariah come in. Mariah's ready for her push. Hanan's been slowly moving up, you know, the ranks. That's just something to look at. And when we talked about Mariah and why she's so important, kind of is this interloper. Someone like Hanan can have a really cool thing with her, I think. Besides that, not too much.
So, Rich, you're on to something. I'm gonna further extend it. So, Hanan versus Utami is a match I'm definitely interested in. Hanan versus Mariah, obviously, and Hanan versus Micah. This is the judoka block. I didn't realize this. It just dawned on me. This is the judoka block. So yeah, her versus her three superior judokas, her having to tussle with them. That's what I want to see. That's what I see with her in this tournament. And like, obviously, she's going to not have a winning record, but I want to see her have more competitive matches with the core of this block that she wrestled last year. Like Julia destroyed her last year, just fucking eviscerated her. So I want to see her try to have more of a, you know, underdog, gets a couple shots into, you know, kind of, you know, can she get a fluke roll up at the end and then someone kick out at 2.999 or whatever else, and then or that sort of thing, as opposed to just getting demolished like she did last year.
Up next, we got Mariah May. So she is
Micah.
Excuse me, Micah. The small one's always like, I'm like, hold on, where are my eyes? Like, so we got Micah. So unfortunately, there's no Micah Himeka match in this block, so that saddens me. However, looking at it, Micah and Mariah is a natural Hoss match. I think that might be your replacement for your Micah Himeka match. Besides that, I think Micah and Momo, you know, they're both kind of overlooked, I think, at this point. Micah's kind of getting a little bit of shine, but Momo's like, you know, she's living in the doldrums. Sorry, Velkej. But Micah and Utami, let's do it. They've always had, good matches.
Yeah. Mike and Utami, they always have great matches. They always have perfectly paced matches where it's like this could be in any promotion, and they build very well, and they always end up somewhere in the fours. So that's number one. And, you know, Micah beats Micah, you know, in tournaments will beat Utami, and then a bigger stage in a different situation, Micah might get that back. But, that number one with a bullet. Number two, Julia. Last time they wrestled each other, I think, was the 2021 Cinderella tournament, where like Micah eliminated Julia by holding her on the outside off the second turnbuckle, like up for a suplex, and basically dropping her on the fucking turnbuckle and splitting Julia's head open. They're both psychopaths. So yeah, like maybe Julia wants to get back in blood after all these years. So yeah, that match would be great, obviously. And her versus Mariah, as you mentioned, just because of the way their matches, their games kind of just relatively put as power wrestlers together. So yeah, those be it. But I will say, like, her and Ano could just have an awesome match, just based off of just like the way that Ano can bump on her neck and stuff, and the way that, you know, Mike could just throw anyone around, like that could be a sleeper too.
So up next we got Mariah May, and I think I'm looking at her list. There's not a lot that jumps out at me, so I think I just want to see people beat her up. So Momo, Julia, and Mariah. Y'all go ahead and handle her for me.
Oh man. So I want to see what she could do, like stretching out, like testing her limits. So I want to see what she can do with Azumi, in some, a high speed chase around the chicken, like his Rocky 2 type of situation. Her versus Mina, of course, because of their tag team, their current tag team champions and their relationship. I want to see how nasty one of the other ones can get when it comes to, wanting to eke out them 2 points over the friendship. In her versus Momo, I want to see what Momo does with her as far as dealing with Mariah and her, what do you call it? The Barbie shtick or whatever else. I wonder how Momo may handle that. Will she pull out the bat or will she not pull out the bat? Just wrestle her? Who knows? But
Momo rejects all foolishness. I feel like Momo hasn't smiled in years.
Oh man.
Momo Watanabe will be one of those one of those people that are walking around the city in the movie The Crow, and it's like, what's wrong with them?
All right, so next up will be Mina Shirakawa. What do you got as match you look forward to seeing, Rich?
So the Mina, her and Mariah for sure.
Yeah.
We gonna see the best of the genre right there. And I'll just let that sit there.
Oh my god.
The Mina and Momo will probably be a good one. A lot of happiness versus a lot of not happiness.
Mina didn't start flashing in singles match until she started facing Momo. So yeah, there's definitely something to that. And the 2 matches that they've had that come to mind for me was a pay-per-view match, singles match early 2021, and then their Grand Prix match last year. And they played off the story of the prior match. So I'm interested to see what they do for number 3.
And I'll probably say Julia just because it's a quote unquote step up in class for Mina. So that'll be for what I want to see for her. There is Mariah who took the belt off.
But it's just to be nasty and talk about if this was America, how people be talking about this kind of backhand booking. Yeah, put Mariah and Mina. I want to see it because Mariah was supposed to have that spot. They moved her to the side. They give her her big win to Mina. Mina does damn well with it. And then they had to take it off Mina, make her tag champ as a consolation prize. Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see
there's some heat here.
Yeah, and I want to see Mina get this W and then have a match. Don't run from it because that's what they tried to do. They tried to run from it. Nah, I need Mina to go ahead and tap out the white belt champ, and then they have a match in December in Sumo Hall. I want to see that.
Let's do it.
Yeah. But outside of that, obviously, Julia and Utami. Just the 2 classes of the 2 heads of the thing. I want to see how she levels up, as you mentioned. So yeah, those are my 3.
Up next, we've got
Mariah.
Mariah and Utami. Mariah and Mina, as you mentioned, and then Mariah and Micah. That's kind of because Micah looks like she's ripe to catch one on Mariah and get a white belt title shot.
That's a very good point. So as you mentioned, we just talked about it. Mina, because of because what we just mentioned before. Utami, because they've only had 1 match, and that was on one of those 2 back-to-back sumo halls in March of 2022, where Utami just beat her ass. Just didn't even cut off. They gave her nothing, basically. Just, I'm better than you in every facet of this game. You have to catch up to me, and she's closed the gap. I want to see how close she can get it, or if it's going to be a back and forth competitive match, and even Mariah gets the W, because obviously Utami's not going undefeated in this thing. So this could be a big win, or her big win of the tournament for Mariah. Even though she's probably going to eat some L's as a champion to build up challengers in the future. But obviously have to go out with a big win at some point. Micah final night makes all the sense in the world. And I want to see her versus Ano, because they just meshed well together because of the size and strength and the bumping ability that Ano has. I think those would be my 3.
Momo Watanabe. All right. Momo's a phenomenal wrestler.
Will she get 9 points?
Let's see.
9 points is 4, 4, and 1.
Yeah, I think she'll get that. Actually, let's go through it. I feel like we haven't done this for anyone yet. We need to go through the W's and the L's for Momo.
The reason why I asked because last year she finished right at 500. She went 6-6 in the tournament last year, so that's why I'm asking.
Oh man, so Momo Mirai, I've got that as an L for Momo.
Yep.
So that's 0-1. Micah and Momo, I've got Momo 0-2.
Okay.
Ano and Momo, I'm gonna give that one to Momo.
Okay.
Mariah May and Momo, I'm gonna give that one to Momo.
Okay.
Julia and Momo, I'm gonna give that one to Julia. So she's 2-3.
Okay.
Utami and Momo, I'm gonna give that one to Utami. So she's 2-4. Hanan and Momo, I'm gonna give that to Momo.
Yep.
Mina and Momo.
That's crazy. 6 months ago, that would have been impossible to consider.
I'm gonna give it to Mina.
I know. Yeah.
What's that? 3 and 5?
Yeah.
Azumi. I'm gonna give that to Momo because Azumi's not winning that late in the tournament.
Now, Rich, you know what this tournament is, and you know how it goes. Like, the most exciting thing for the end of that block would be for Azumi to get her win over Momo after what happened beginning of last year. And the last time they had that singles match where Momo won by loading up her kick pad with that wrench and damn near breaking Azumi's nose.
So a bill is due. Oh my
Right.
God, this is gonna turn out even worse for Momo than I imagined.
Look, she's getting at least 7. Right? I'm sorry, she's getting at least 8. But like,
Velka
trying to
has
find
turned the
the
audio
10th
off.
point is really hard. It's really hard. And obviously, like, we're not accounting for draws or anything like that. But like, just trying to find, finding a 5th win for her is hard at this point. It seems.
Velka, I'm sorry.
Velka should be apologizing to us because she should never ended up with that click. If she wasn't in that click, this wouldn't be her fate.
Damn. Sayoriano. I don't really know too much about Sayori yet. No, she had the match with she's not the happiest individual. She's not really, on that cosmic. She's with them, but she's not with them. So it's kind of like, like a Jay White in Chaos kind of thing. It feels like.
Okay, so at first it felt like that, and then they had the match, and it was like, okay, so what her thing is like, look, I like y'all, I don't like all the shit y'all do, and it's like, for those that don't like Cosmic Angels, she could be like the one that you like because she don't like all the dancing and singing and all that shit too. Like, they're trying to get you from all angles to get you into Cosmic Angels. Like, so if it's almost like when Cena was selling those Cena suck shirts, it's like, you don't like Cosmic Angels and all the dancing? Well, you should like Natsupoi you should like Ano because Ano's like, she ain't with that dancing shit neither.
Look, all I know is that don't seem like it's built to last because Tam is strict on people learning the dances. From my knowledge.
Where are you making this stuff up from?
It's just about sources. Top 75.
Head canon just sent out into the world. It's supposed to be so.
Top 75. People talk to me. They tell me things.
Oh man, you need to stop getting your Tam Nakano news from Velcash. That's a rotten system. You stop this. But yeah, her versus Julia, because as I mentioned, the Ice Ribbon Lord, the past. Obviously both of them get real nasty because, Rich, this, like, she's a member of Ozaki-gun with the whips and shit, so like she can get nasty too. So I want to see that. And they talked about their history and passing before. Her versus Azumi really interests me because, like, Ano can tap into the high speed stuff and she's that kind of talent. And Azumi, like, I feel like if she's going to have a good tournament, Azumi has to beat someone like Ano. And then after that, like I want to see her versus Momo because it's like, yeah, you evil, but like I'm more evil because look at what I do in other promotions. So it's like this could be a real nasty match.
It's like, hey, do you want to sink? Like I feel like Momo is someone who is still redeemable, right? But Ano, from the vibe I gather, has completely dedicated her life completely to the scumbag nature. And is like, you can come. I'm a glimpse of, and what if you continue how you're living your life, you will turn to me. But if you save yourself, you can write yourself another chapter.
Rich. So earlier we were talking somewhere, I forgot what we were talking about. I was like talking about Mayuki, and like the main thing of like reason why I would want her in Stardom is like, yeah, man, her and Ano, y'all do that act y'all have as a little evil tag team in Oz Academy. Bring that shit to Stardom and y'all just give them Oedo tie. They'll do better than what Natsuko and Saki was doing with that shit. Like they'll do better. Right? Like if you want to do the whole thing where like, well, we don't know if we want to actually treat Starlight Kid or Momo like the leader, we do this Natsuko and Saki shit. Man, fuck that. Make them the leaders in. They'll do much better. I promise you.
So up next we got Utami. Last but not least, we have Utami. Utami is going to be awesome in this thing. Utami and Julia is like possibly the most anticipated match in the promotion. I think they've been holding off on this for years.
Yep.
Utami and Mirai should be awesome. Utami and Azumi, as James mentioned. Utami and Momo, I think, would be awesome. Yeah, like she's obviously been in America. There's a lot of eyes on Utami right now. I got a text from MP today to say he was getting into Utami Hayashishita. So
that's interesting.
So she's like kind of like, she's got the eyes on her. I think this is her block. I'm picking Utami to win this block.
Yeah, because it's almost like a process of elimination. It's like, all right, so if Utami doesn't win, who you got? Julia going back to back?
I mean, unless they're building up for an end of the year Tam Julia match, the final one, and then she drops her shit back to Julia, and then Julia is going off with it. But
Rich,
I don't think they're going that way.
Rich, I've been thinking about this for a while. Game 7. When that is gonna be Game 7 when that shit happens. I've been like, because remember I was saying last year, like, whoever wins the Grand Prix is going to beat Utami. And, like, it would probably be well if Tam was the one that wins the Grand Prix. And then, like, sure, Juliet gets it from Tam later so that, like, you can have it where it's like, all right, now it's 6-6 or whatever else, and we can move on. Or and then you have a 6-6, and then, like, you have a 7th match down the line. The 7th match still on the line, but they just didn't reverse. So it's like, I thought that they were going to have like the long Julia reign or whatever else. So that's why you do Tam first or whatever, but they decided to do it short run so that, Julia can get like the red belt a second time.
That's the only caveat to all this. Like, I pick Utami, right? But what James is talking about is fully on the table.
Yeah. Yeah. Because honestly, like, it was not
and they
Utami.
love to push Julia. They would love to make her like a 2-time champion. Be like, fuck it. Like, and it only will make the match bigger.
Right, and then like you go into it, and it's not just the or you think about it, it's probably not just the red belt. It's a red belt and like the strong belt, probably. So but I will still put number 1 Utami as number 1 for the win this block, and I put Julia number 2. Who will you put number 3? That's my real question because I don't. Micah maybe. Mina?
Micah's been getting some momentum. It looks like kind of like she was involved with the generational struggle match.
Yeah.
I think you go with Micah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So who do you have? I don't know if we went through who you have as third for the red block if you have one.
Third for the red.
You said Maya. You said Mayu. You probably have
Kamatani.
Who do you have as a third?
I think you got to go. You got to go with Shuri, don't you? You got to go with Shuri.
Yeah. My bad. Forgive me. Yeah. Shuri could win this thing and be like, oh, I'm in.
Or Tam. Either one.
You think they would have her win as a champion?
No, I'm saying like be third.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. All right. Yeah. So yeah, man.
Overall, should be a great tournament. If y'all haven't got like the message of like us going through each individual name and just keep repeating the names over and over and over, yeah, it's like that.
Like, so I think you look at our top two from both blocks. Like, there's a lot of history between all of them, really, except for maybe like Julia and Kamatani, but they had a match last year in the Grand Prix. But like, Utami and Julia have had eyes around each other for a long time. It has never had a match. Mayu and Julia, they've had their last 3 straight matches have all been time limit draws. Obviously Mayu and Utami, they faced each other last year in the semifinals for the IWGP Women's Belt, and also before that, like Utami took the red belt off of Mayu in 2020. There's just a lot of stuff. So yeah, I think I'll probably go with Kamatani Utami for the thing, because I feel like given the year that they've had and neither one have the belt, like this would be a big thing for them to have that moment. I think that's at this point where they are, like they can have their best match they ever had, and you know a lot of people think their best match probably like a 4 1/4 thing. I feel like they could smoke that now. So, yeah, I feel like that's the one if they do it. But you know, obviously, you know the IWGP champions. They might stand in the way of that. You know, the Bushiroad politicking might get in the way of that. You know, Mayu got a movie on deck, so who knows?
I'm very torn, like between Mayu and Utami, because Utami has been somebody that has been on the back burner all of last year, and it just seems like the perfect time. But Mayu's got that IWGP belt, even though, like, you know, what is that belt at this point now? But it still says IWGP. James says they have the movie coming out. They still have her and Tam to blow off on a big show. This could easily be the Hiroshi Tanahashi style. Yeah, this is Mayu's last one. And James, I may have picked Mayu last year, and you know I was wrong. But I'm picking Mayu Utami to win this year.
Well, I think I'll stick with Utami or Kamatani. But what I will say is this: there are two matches. There are 2 matches where if the the Grand Prix winner wins, and I'm looking at Sumo Hall, and I'm already like, okay, I'm going back to Japan. Game 7 or Mayu and Tam. Like, either one of those matches will get me to do that all over again. So, you know, that's not what I'm picking as a betting man or as a prognosticator, handicapper, but those will be the ones that will move me the most. So yeah,
you'll take them.
Yeah.
Cool, man. I guess we can wrap that up there. But Kenny Omega wrestled El Hijo del Vikingo this week at Triplemania in sensational fashion. Just always really cool to see that environment. This is a huge match for Vikingo. Been chasing this win for quite a while.
The whole promotion.
Yeah. Like
Radio Kid couldn't beat him.
Yeah, I was going to say, in a way, it almost kind of felt like an end of an era, because I don't know if Kenny will continue to work for AAA at this point, but if you think about it, like, you know, he's been going since 2019, and what stood out to me was, like, all the pictures I kept seeing come out of the meet and greets with, like, the Mexican wrestling fans, and, like, how beloved, like, he is there now, and, like, the reactions he was getting now. It's like, he was a big star when he got there in 2019, but now it's just like, yeah, he's a legend here too now. Like, I think him and, you know, I think that it says a lot that he was like, nah, fuck that. Like, I got hurt. He could have never fucking showed back up to Mexico ever and been like, why would I ever go? Like, you know,
and a lot of carnies would have not showed back up either too.
You know, and what he did was like, nah, I'm not only just going to show back up, but I'm going to put that dude over clean like I intended to before. So major kudos for that. And, you know, on the same night while other people were doing jobs not clean, that were supposedly making stars, this was like, yeah, man, like the whole time, like El Hijo del Vikingo's not getting a push like this in AAA if it's not for Kenny Omega. He's not coming to Dynamite and getting spotlighted like that if it's not for Kenny Omega. This guy has all the ability in the world. They just weren't going to push that guy like that. But he got hand selected to work with him, and what has happened ever since he picked up that belt, he's had fucking amazing matches everywhere, become a star himself. And then this one was like, yeah, he'll always had this forever in front of that audience. This shit was nuts. I'll probably go 4.5 on this. And I think for all those reasons, just looking at it, it's just such a cool thing when I think you take wrestlers out of their home promotions and, have them do different stories elsewhere, because there's just, more to really grasp at and read into if you want. And of course Don Callis shows up there. Ultimate dedication to hating. Don Callis did get attacked. I told Don I was coming for him. Apparently somebody decided to beat me to the job.
So did we hear an update on what happened to him, or how's he doing?
I think he's fine. I know he had to go to the hospital, but I don't really have too many more updates. But
okay.
Besides that, the match was awesome. What'd you think about all this?
Yeah, haven't watched the match yet. Going to get to it this week with all the other stuff. But I thought that they had the best TV match I've seen so far this year. Earlier this year, obviously I haven't seen the Game 7 ladder match. But yeah, I thought that they were phenomenal. And, I was like, just as long as Kenny doesn't land on his neck again, then we'll be good. So, what? Explain the run-in with. Sorry, go ahead.
I said this match was actually pretty different from the Dynamite match, because it seemed like the Dynamite match, it was like Kenny just was like, all right, I'm gonna be the ultimate base and allow this guy to show exactly why he's special. This one was more worked as a traditional kind of match. Kenny was getting the heat on him. He's wrestling more aggressively, but not necessarily as a heel. There was some funny stuff where he did steal the mask and he put the Viking mask on and did a move. But yeah, Vikingo was jumping off shit, and it was awesome.
So it's more similar to the Laredo Kid match.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did Callis like? What was his running like? Just could you describe that for me?
So Callis only came out at the beginning, was basically trying to say, I'm seconding Vikingo, but Vikingo didn't really want his help or anything like that. And then Kenny chased Callis off, and you never saw Callis again. And it was Kenny was like, we're gonna do this, fuck what he's talking about, me and you or whatever. And then they largely just wrestled a clean match.
Okay. What did Takeshita do anything? Because I saw he was there.
Takeshita jumped out at the press conference after and was putting the hands on Kenny. And then that's when you started hearing Callis, and then the whole thing with Callis getting tackled happened. Okay. So these boys is showing up to hate internationally. We will follow you around the globe to hate. Incredible.
Wow. Really wild.
Incredible.
Okay, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out this week.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess that'll take us into AEW. Man, kind of an uneven week. So, disclosure: I did not see the FTR Bang Bang Gang round 4 a match. I did see the other one, so I heard it was awesome.
You put over the last week. You put over the third one.
Yeah, the third one I really liked a lot. And then this one, people say it was even better. I was like, what are they going to do to top the last one? They just doubled the time. Okay. So I'm like, all right. I was getting caught up on G1.
Yeah. Extended time can vary on Jay White matches. Sometimes it's basically it's disappointing unless Kota Bushi's in the ring. Then it's like, oh my God. Kota Bushi, the only person figured out how to have a great match over 30 minutes with Jay White and make it work from bell to bell.
But yeah, I didn't see that. I did see the main event of Collision, and then I saw Dynamite. So let's go to Dynamite, which was there was a lot on this show. That kind of a weird crowd. Shout out to my man Bruce though. In Saskatoon, gave me the live report.
What did Bruce try to cap and say, hey, the crowd was loud where I was at? Or did Bruce was like, look,
he did not say that.
Okay. Shout out to Bruce being honest with us. Shout out to Bruce.
So Bruce was like, it was a different buzz from when WWE is there. It's largely a WWE town.
Okay.
He told me the biggest pops were Omega, MJF and Cole, Orange Cassidy, Dustin Rhodes, and Will Nightingale were over during Rampage. Don Callis has the most heat. Epic entrance. Jericho had some Winnipeg sucks chants going during the commercial break. He thinks maybe that's when the peak was. Sammy Guevara came out to Crickets. Commander Sky Blue also joined him in Cricket Land. He said it should have been bigger. Pac's appearance. He said overall it was a 7 out of 10 fun show. Justin Roberts is terrific. Saskatoon still a WWE city, but he sees if they keep visiting, that could potentially change.
Okay. I mean, Makes sense. So yeah, man, like I liked this show because of not because of stuff that wasn't the wrestling. Like this was for those that like, or those that harp on AEW for not telling stories or progressing stories, whatever else, watch this, have a Coca smile and shut the fuck up. This show was about pushing tons of stuff forward. I really enjoyed it. So I guess let's get into it.
Yeah, so we opened up with Chris Jericho versus Commander, and as the story goes, Chris Jericho versus Luchadors has worked my entire life. As I mentioned, no Jazz members here. This whole thing was about Jericho playing into the crowd, being the bigger man in this match, kind of like struggling with wrestling clean versus cheating and antagonizing the crowd. And then, Commander doing all the Commander stuff, but, fucking up at the very end and losing to Jericho ultimately.
Yep. Very good match. I didn't have a rating for it, but I enjoyed what I saw.
Yeah. And then after the match, Don Callis comes out and starts. And I've been saying it for months, but, like, this Callis thing is amazing. It's like... the music hits and y'all know what that fucking music sounds like, that horrible music. Whole crowd boos. He said, the whole wrestling world is buzzing about Jericho joining the Don Callis family. He said, remember the last time we were in a faction together was 34 years ago, and we get Bad News Allen on the screen, and they show a picture of, or they show some video of Bad News, Jericho and Don Callis with the head full of hair and the fucking jacket and all that, and it's hilarious. And he said, we called themselves a couple of gods. I said, Bad News said we should always stick together. One of the best things I've ever heard Don Callis do was an episode of Killing the Town with him and Lance Storm where they talk about Bad News. That's just an incredible podcast.
Okay.
So many great stories. If you guys haven't heard that, check that out. On Killing the Town. But the whole thing seemed to tug on Jericho's heartstrings. And so it was just more kind of compelling stuff like, man, is Jericho really going to do this? And the whole time you're thinking, it's like, oh, yeah, maybe he's the fifth member of the team, but he ended up not being that. So...
but that's still at play. Like, maybe he comes in at the end and, like, fucks up, the Elite. Like, that's still at play. Like, there's always dominoes with this thing because Jericho's always about, like, laying the foundation to have, transitions into in and out of stuff.
Zekumaki, Don had hoes with the hair, though. I see it. Unbelievable. So, I'm just going to move on.
Please do.
Alex Marvez was in the parking lot with Jack Perry. Said he's going to knock on a window. Jack Perry then says it's an unsafe working environment like Shawn Michaels in 1997.
Yep, after he got his hair put out by Brett. Yeah.
And then Hook opened the door, and then Jack scrambled and tried to get away. But the child locks, didn't allow him to. So, like, this is just excellent. Like, if you're just a shitbag, like, Jack looks like he's attempting to be. Sitting in the car with child locks being your downfall or is chef's kiss. He ultimately ended up escaping. He gave Hook a forearm, then ran. Hook said, "Yo, keep running." And they did announce Hook versus Jack Perry match this week for the FTW belt. This smells like 6-foot motherfucker debuts for Jack Perry to help him cheat and to be his heater.
Why do you say 6-foot motherfucker like that's supposed to be some big guy?
I mean, look at it next to these guys.
Well, aren't they both like
Jack
6 feet
is
tall?
Kind of tall.
Aren't they both like 6 feet tall? They're just skinny.
Let's say a 6-foot, 250-pound motherfucker.
Okay,
right?
fair enough.
Yeah. So after that, Renee met up with Don. Said, we're gonna go out. We're gonna announce the fifth man. I'm not worried, and I'm going out there alone. And after Renee says it's a surprise, he said, out of all these people in this business, the one man I'm not afraid of is Kenny Omega. I died laughing when he said that shit. And whatever, like, let's run it. And then Shivani was calling Callis an idiot, and then Excalibur called MJF an idiot, and then they threw it to the next bonding session with Adam Cole and MJF. And James, I hated everything up until the video game part. I was like,
are you serious?
Bro, it was just, I was like, what is this? This is NXT 2.0. Like they turned me around with the video games. Like, it was like, I'm gonna go home.
Because the pathos of the character that MJF doesn't like video games because he has no friends, he's a loser, and he doesn't really, it always comes back.
No, if it's one thing we know Adam Cole likes to do, it's play video games. So
right,
I was
right.
That works for me. And the whole thing about him not having friends, I didn't give a fuck about that. Like,
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the part where like they're out there. MJF is on full scumbag mode, trying to get that man. Trying to get that man to get on these women, and he's like, "Nah, man, I don't do that." And he's like, "Oh, okay, I get him to turn off the cameras." Like, bro, that's nasty.
Yeah, that part was funny.
And he said that shit on camera. He's like, "I get him to get rid of the cameras. We can go. He taking the Pound Town." And then Cole's like, "Nah, man, I don't do that. I'm in a committed relationship. How dare you?" And then MJF like, "Fine, more for me."
Man's trying to thug with his round, apparently.
Yeah. So then he goes to he escorts the four ladies to another part of the building. He comes back and zips up his zipper. I was like, this fucking asshole. What a scumbag.
Foolish.
So yeah, man. And he was like, "Look, man, I'm sorry I left you hanging. We can do whatever you want to do. Whatever I want." Then they're playing video games. Next thing you know.
Look, all this tells me is like MJF perhaps a fan of the Birdman. That man was trying to run, that him and Wayne.
Man.
But after that, Cole was like, "Yeah, man, I know one thing I am down to do." And then, they pull up the video games and you see the screen. It's like, hold on.
Before you get to that, Rich, I need you to look at Brewhaven's comments, and he's right.
Yes, MJF on that Matt Riddle, Damien Priest. Look,
that's the same exact time. That's the same exact time that he's talking about with Birdman and Wayne. Yeah.
All them boys from the Northeast.
Oh, man. Anyway. Never mind. I'm not finna get into that. Move on. Go ahead. I'm finna move on. Anyway, Rich, so you were getting to them playing Fight Forever.
Yeah, they're playing AEW Fight Forever. Genius marketing here.
Yes.
And then you notice it's like, hold on, are they whooping FTR's ass? And then I was like, yeah, I'm in now.
That was nasty. I enjoyed it because it's like, okay, on one end you also have like Adam Cole, even though he's not like doing stuff with the Elite right now, except for BTE, like he's still with the Elite, and it's still like, I don't like how you talking about how like you are spreading this propaganda that, against my dogs with his fandom stuff. So it's like, all right, let's whoop his ass. And also like they're teasing and like that's gonna be the match they do if they win the tag team tournament. So like I did enjoy all of it. I enjoyed all of it. Because like even if they don't win the finals, then it's like they didn't have to do that, and we know why they did that. They did that because Adam Cole's like, hey man, y'all out here spreading this propaganda. And then if they do win, it's like, well, they were setting this up all along. So either way, it's a win for me.
Yeah. So after that, we got Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara taking on Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. This was in commercial a lot, but everything else, like, you know, ended up like pretty good. I like all four of these guys working to each other. This ended up, started with a big opening sequence with Cassidy and Guevara. Like Sammy's wrestling this as a straight babyface, essentially.
Right, that's the story of it. It's like they're both obviously they were at odds on like who is like the top young guy in JSA. And then, like, they just never really, like, did much interaction after that, the initial thing. And now they're kind of being forced together because it looks like Jericho's about to, blow up the faction. And, like, you see them together and it's like Guevara is, like, being a babyface. You know, he has a daughter on the way. The crowd's behind him ever since the Pillars match. Or more into him as a babyface again. And then, like, Garcia is, like, he's just taking all the shortcuts, and taking shortcuts when like Sam don't even realize it's happening. So it's like, interesting to see where it's going to end up. Like, are they going to split up and have a feud with each other? Or are they going to actually like survive as a tag team? I'm interested because I quite frankly, I want to see them as a tag team.
Yeah, man. Daniel Garcia is getting more over by the week with this dance, and he's doing his thing. The whole, this was Daniel Garcia kind of running hijinks, with all the cheating while the other three guys wrestled it straight. Darby was in there, of course, taking insane bumps as normal.
Yeah.
This whole thing kind of peaks with Swerve adding to his all-time reel of catching niggas slipping while they're like either getting in the ring, getting out the ring, leaning by the ring, of popping in, and then you see that black foot just just kick the shit out of Darby Allin there. And last couple of weeks, Swerve ended up, he lost to Darby a couple times, and he's not beaten Darby in this promotion yet. And that seems like that has stuck with Mr. Strickland, and he went ahead and did the kick that ended up costing Darby, and Darby got pinned. And from there, Garcia and Guevara move on, and then I'm thinking, that leads to something that happened later that night. So I was into all this.
Same.
So after that, we got a video package of Nick Wayne. This is shown, they were showing him training and growing up, a story about his mom, and, sitting down to tell him that his dad passed away. He wondered, what was going to happen next if he didn't have a father figure any longer. Said he wants to continue the legacy of the Wayne family name. And then they showed some footage with Darby training. Said he's been ready for this his entire life, knowing what wrestling has meant to his family. This is a really good video package.
Yeah.
Then we got Renee and backstage with Adam Cole. He was on the phone trying to explain to Britt what was happening when he went out with MJF at the bars. Britt wasn't having that shit.
Yeah, and to be quite frank, I was like, I don't understand why this call is happening, considering like Adam Cole did nothing but behave like an upstanding gentleman there. Like, you gonna give him grief for the shit that when he did all the right things? I don't get it. She just yelling at him just to yell at him. I was like, oh, okay.
Look, too close. That man, too close to the action. Strong walks in.
Why don't he just stay inside and never leave the house? Right?
That man liked them video games a lot for a reason. Man trying to decompress. So from there.
Oh, don't do that, Brewhaven. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I ain't going there with you.
No, don't do that.
Cole said he's got like Roger Strong says, yo, you're really gonna fall for this. Cole says he's got nothing to worry about. MJF isn't a half bad guy. Strong Cole, he said we had issues before. Now we're like brothers, essentially. And Cole basically, said, hey man, I gotta go. I gotta text from MJF. So when he wants to hit the double clothesline, and he wants to, he's going to rethink that because he saw Brian Cage in the hallway. Cole then, walked off to call MJF. Renee and Strong were shaking their heads in confusion. And this all kind of like looks, it's like, I don't know, like Roddy's like, he's like, yo, you're not in control as much as you think, but
right.
Cole says, yes, I am.
Right.
So.
And the thing is, like, Adam Cole is too smart to fall for this, but MJF is doing a masterful job of manipulating him. And so, like, it's only reasonable for you for him to think that he's not that bad a guy. And also, like, I used to be a bad guy too, so I see why we vibe. But Roddy's like, dummy, it's finna happen, and like, it's finna happen, and like, he's also jealous of MJF in Cole too, so that's also at play. So like, it's finna get nasty, and I'm not finna like it. I know what's finna happen. I feel like I know what's finna happen. I'm not gonna like it, but I'm enjoying the story for what it is so far. I really am.
Then we got the tag match with MJF and Cole against Big Bill and Brian Cage, and this was just like...
Before we get to the match, we need to get into, like, they did it again. AEW World Champion Lil Bro MJF. He bro, I ain't never seen somebody with a big gold belt around their waist acting like they Spliff Star, acting like they fight dog.
Acting like they Warren G.
Acting like they Warren G. Acting like
acting like they the other dude in Naughty by Nature.
Oh my god. Oh, Vinny.
Yeah.
Oh, what's your boy's name? Oh my god. Acting like they Flavor Flav. Yeah. That's the one I kept trying to think of. Who's the hell? Yeah, that one. Yeah, man. It's wild out here. It's really wild. But it's happening.
Man. So we got the very small pairing of MJF and Cole against Big Bill and Adam Cage. Or excuse me, Big Bill and Brian Cage. And this was like a lot of comedy stuff. This was like a WWF house show match, I feel like.
It absolutely was.
And they were getting insane reactions.
Especially in comparison. MJF body slam Big Bill.
Yes. And this whole thing was like, yo, this whole crowd is like, they woke this crowd up with this, because this crowd was not giving them a lot.
Rich, this is the second AEW match on Dynamite where a wrestler has done a better version of Andre Hogan than Andre Hogan. This second, it happened with Orange Cassidy and Ethan Page last year, and now this one right here, another one.
Love it. But yeah, this was a lot of charisma in this match, and it's not going to blow your doors off work rate rise, but this was more like, this is just like, all right, you see this video package, and then like it's like this match that goes with it, essentially.
Right.
It's not.
Right. They're an odd couple duo coming together. Yeah. And the part that I like about it is like they have built up this fucking double clothesline.
Yes, bro, they're gonna go insane when people are gonna go insane.
They absolutely are. They absolutely are. And it's only been working. They only built this shit over 2 weeks.
2 weeks. This is crazy.
Like, stuff like this is why it's like, why it's so frustrating following MJF. Because it's like, bro, you're so good at this, but some of the things you do are like, if you're so good at it this amount of time, why are you good at this all the time? What is the little pieces where you keep missing? Like, why are you this good and then you suck against Moxley in these builds? I don't get it. It's just weird, man.
I don't think he has anything to say at certain times to people. Like, it's just like, I don't know. He just goes like cold, essentially. It's just like his character doesn't like his character doesn't blend well at all with Moxley's, like,
because Moxley is not a bullshitter.
Yeah, like it's like you can't really like cut like these back and forth like promos with him like that, because it's like Moxley's just gonna punch you in the face,
right?
So I
remember the one where like he was like, "Bro, you're fake rich. I'm actually a millionaire." I was like, "Oh,
yeah."
I guess we're kind of done here,
right? There's nothing here further to go,
right? Like, but the thing is, like, I say that, but like, him and Kingston is going to be incredible if they ever do it. Like, you just know it's going to be incredible. But obviously, Kingston is and Moxley, and they're not exactly the same people, but like, it's just like, just that slight difference of like, similar acts, but it's like just a slight difference can make just in chemistry just make things not work out. And it's interesting how that works out. And that's all.
Like, you're from the city and you're from Long Island. That's natural right there.
Right. And also, like, the whole part was like, he's from the gutter and this is a, silver spoon motherfucker. Like, that's just gonna, and I, for some reason, like, I guess that doesn't really work with Mox anymore because I guess he, that, look, you read them story about Piccadilly, that ain't exactly like, the easiest life either.
Yeah. So, up next, we got one of the best segments that I can remember. So Renee was backstage with Jake Hager outside of Chris Jericho's locker room, and this got me, y'all. This got me. This hit me in the heart right here.
Oh man.
At times I've been known to be a soulless individual. At times
Clip that. At times I've been known to be a soulless individual. Clip that and send that to my Twitter tonight.
At times I have not cared, about what people have tried to, get their individual story points over or anything like that. But this got me because I like the hat. I like Jake. Jake has found a way to keep getting money for 4 years, just standing next to Chris Jericho. Hager said Jericho knows we're coming in. He basically asked if Jericho was considering joining Don. Jericho said, Don is making some good points. Talked about the history again with Bad News Allen, and he needs some time to think. And then Hager paused and he took off the purple bucket hat. And then I felt like you could just hear the crowd just go, oh, that little gasp, like what is happening? These guys have been in AEW together since day one. So he hands him the hat. He built it up. It was like, damn, we remember talking about that hat. How goofy the hat was. We saw Hager wearing the hat in the public, shirtless. We had a lot of discussions about the hat, in one of our group chats.
Yeah.
And I insisted on telling people it was over. And this is the proof. 100%. I won, But, Hager says until Jericho can give him a straight answer, he can't stand by his side. He handed him the hat and he walked off in one of the saddest moments. Jake Hager, excellent actor, apparently.
Bro, this is the magic of this stupid thing that we watch every single week. This person has a gimmick that he is a big, strong, angry cage fighter that likes to wear a hat. And you play off of the part where you get his hat, he blows his stack, and he might, run you over, or he might run into something because he's so mad about it, someone playing with his hat. And it was given to him by his faction leader. And now that we're at a crossroads of whether or not the faction will stay together, he offers the guy his gimmick, the thing that shows how much he actually wants him to think about it. Incredible. And walks off. And the part where like you realize that this is all a stupid fucking Kangol makes it incredible because like you're watching. It's the same thing where it's like when Billy Gunn crossed the Acclaim to side with his sons at one time, and then like at the end he's like, but the scissor stuff that didn't mean nothing to you. Like the part where you get pathos off of something so goddamn stupid is the beauty of pro wrestling and why this thing has been around for 100 years and will be around 100 years after we're all dead. Because you can make things that are that small, that insignificant, or that goofy matter to people if you have the right situation, timing, and characters with it, and like an ensemble around it. And like that worked. I'm not saying it's like all of a sudden they're gonna sell 1,000 extra tickets or anything like that. But like if you've been watching AEW for the last, since last year, you've known about this hat thing. It's been over with you at some point, and maybe you've been over it or whatever else. But you know the hat, and then you realize like, yeah, man, they've been together for a long time, and now he wants that. He's trying to guilt trip this man into choosing and making up the decision on whatever it is and moving on because he's holding up his life. And it's like the symbol of that is stupid, but the point is heartfelt. And like that's why it was cool because of the relationship they've had for all these years, being together in Inner Circle and JSA. So like, yeah, it's the hat, and that's what makes it stupid, but not just the hat. But also it's still the hat, so it's funny to laugh at because it's ridiculous. Like it was one of the reasons why I love pro wrestling. It's like this is a soap opera, and like this is what some of the stuff is. These are the MacGuffins. A fucking hat. It's great. It's really great.
Amazing. Ruby Soho versus Sky Blue. Owen Hart semifinal match. Sky Blue went viral off of this match. That's all I remember. I have nothing for you.
Yeah, somebody like took one of those like aggregate accounts like saw a clip of her in like a side headlock with her shorts hiked up and
why can't they control themselves?
Fed that to the folks to consume, and I was like, wow, like it must have been a real dry like night because like you can see cheeks pretty much anywhere. I didn't get it. Whatever, man. I don't know, man. I guess people not caught on to the phenomenon that is Sky Blue, I guess, whatever. I'm not here for what y'all into with Sky Blue or not. But as far as the match, it was okay. Tons of cheating, of course, because, it's the Outcast. But, yeah, Ruby makes it finals, and, like, you're like, all right, well, she was in the finals last year. She lost to Britt. She beat Britt this year. She's in the finals again. And Buffalo Bills, man. Buffalo Bills.
This went beyond wrestling Twitter, Brewhaven, with Sky Blue. This shit's out of there. Then we got a QT Marshall backstage with Harley Cameron, and they debuted a music video that featured Harley Cameron dropping a diss song to the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass. This featured singing, fast rapping, and this also like featured her in several different locations and outfits.
Dressing provocatively, yeah.
Brother, why did I have to watch this on AEW Dynamite?
Well, you see, she's white, so like apparently she's not supposed to be able to rap at all. So like the part where she raps fast is supposed to be like, I didn't know this existed. This is like seeing someone dunk from the 3-point line.
Man, I'm not gonna talk about what you might have thought of the rap or anything like that It's just like
it wasn't like the rap was bad, but the thing is like the expectation. What things we're supposed to blow you away is like your expectation is so low for her that you're like, oh my gosh, she's actually rapping well.
Right, like it's not necessarily.
I can throw a rock and find a rapper that can rap well. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's not about the quality, in a sense. It's like, why are we dedicating like airtime to this? Like. Right. On this show, like this is like you want to do that on Rampage, you want to put that on social media, go right ahead.
That shit never will be on the Collision.
Yeah,
they're not putting the rapidy rap on Collision.
Yeah. But yeah, I was befuddled. I was like, why are we doing this? I didn't get it. But someone out there enjoyed this.
Well, I mean, another QTV production. So
man,
thank you for that again.
QTV is they have an alarming not hit rate. So after that,
they should be in AA. The way they're hitting, designated for assignment.
After that,
send their ass to Scranton or Birmingham or Dunedin.
Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp.
Send their ass to Oklahoma City. Any of them, all them towns with all them southern cities that ain't got no baseball, that they got affiliates, send them there. Send their ass to Chattanooga. I don't even know if they got a team, but I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do. You know, Birmingham. But up next we got
Savannah got a team.
Savannah Bananas. They're kind of like
I lucked into that one. I had no idea that was the name of their team. That's hilarious.
They play like goofy baseball, like trick baseball. It's hilarious. I had to send you some clips of their shit. Like,
okay.
Like I want to make it to a Savannah Bananas game eventually. But up next we got Swerve Strickland versus Nick Wayne. Much anticipated match. This has been ever since I think the last match I had in Defy. This was kind of out there that this was happening. Interesting town, like as far as like, you know, wow, you happen to be in Saskatoon, Canada. Like it landed on the map that Nick Wayne's debut would take place there. And he ended up winning the people over in this match. They had Darby walk him out, and this whole thing was just like, yeah, these guys have history. Got the callbacks immediately to the Darby Allin thing earlier in the night with Swerve. Swerve was already like in rare fuck nigga mode, deciding like, yo, I own this night. I'm going to fuck up Darby's shit. I'm going to beat his protege's ass. And then I'm going to point at him and let him know I'm coming for him. And this whole thing, like, you know, with him and Nick, and I could tell Nick was nervous at the beginning. And it almost was like Swerve was just like, yo, you good. You in here with me. You're good. Like, but yeah, I thought they did a great job here, and I thought Nick got over in his debut. And with Nick Wayne, I was like, man. So what will his discourse be? Because he has to get his welcome to AEW discourse, and it almost wasn't as bad as I thought. The only discourse that ended up popping out of this was
the match ended up being so positive that the people decided to go toxic with like, well, he should have gotten more. That's how well it went.
Or he should have won.
He did so well that he should have gotten more.
Yeah. But this was like, you know, I think Swerve's been losing a lot of matches of late, and especially if you're looking at, all right, Nick Wayne is 18 years old. They clearly believe in him a lot, rolling him out with these video packages, linking them in these stories, stuff like that. And this company has shown they are able to take someone from a very young age and give them like a long-term like arc. See Jack Perry. And what happened to Jack Perry in the beginning with him? He was getting whooped out here until eventually he was not getting whooped no more, and it felt like a breakthrough. So like Nick Wayne will start in that same kind of location, but the guy that needs the focus now is Swerve. You have this whole thing you import from Defy Wrestling, which is handed to you on a silver platter, and my God, James, AEW decides to use it. Incredible. Yeah. They import the prior history, multiple surrounding characters with Darby, with him. Eventually, this is going to include Sting, I imagine, and then Swerve's got a whole unit with him. I love this match. I thought it was awesome, and I thought it was the right winner. And you're going to hear a lot of people all the way up to those like even Big Dave. I think he's off on this. And then, there are a lot of, I heard Ryan Satin talking about it. Like, if they were going to give Nick, so much, as far as his rollout, and why didn't you have him win?
The same motherfucker that said the Allen Angels had no business getting, surviving a signature move from somebody.
Amazing.
Fuck, make up your mind.
Like I was like, hold on, man. I was like, not again. Don't do this again, Satin.
Like he is so swung so far in the other way, he has gone wrong the other way now.
Yeah. But like Nick is ultimately like a plot device in this thing between Swerve and Darby, which this whole thing has been. This whole thing's been set up, and these guys are gonna go fucking crazy this summer. Like y'all hearing it now. So I think it was a big win Swerve needed, and I enjoyed the match a lot. And Nick Wayne is going to be a long-term ace type figure in AEW. He's fine.
Right. So, there was somebody, I forgot who I was messaging. I think it was, it might have been Raj that said something stupid, and I was like, about it, or maybe it was Sam, I can't remember, and I was like, yeah, man, like, he's 18 years old, and it's like a simulation of combat fighting, like, you know, like, 18-year-olds normally don't beat grown-ass men in fights. That's not how that goes normally. And then somebody replied
unless
to me,
it's Percy Harvin.
Yeah. And then somebody replied to me and was like, "Well, he just beat him in Defy in their last match." I was like, "Yeah, sorry, buddy that's booking Defy isn't booking AEW. It's not. These are two different promotions, man." And then his complaint was like, and then I was like, "Hey, man, like, look, he's 18. If you're going to book anybody to lose coming in and then eventually get the win back over time, if you're going to do that with anybody, it's the 18-year-old, because you have all that time to build towards big wins, because you got him for potentially a decade or more before he even comes to a part where it's like it's time to, you know, do something with him or figure out what his, like, the top of his potential is." And the person's response was like, "Well, it's too much like these other stories of guys coming in and losing," and he mentioned Ricky Starks losing his first match to Cody. And I'm just like, I didn't say this, but in my mind I was like, so you don't like sports? Because, you know, like, you be over like the Denver Nuggets, like, oh, they had their shot in 2020 when they lost to the Lakers in the bubble, and like, fuck them, it's a wrap. Go to hell. Like 2012 Thunder, young, made the finals, and then they blew it up and whatever else. It's like, nah, it's just never a situation where, like, so, like, if the Celtics ever win a title, it'd be like, nah, like, life fucked it up. Life fucked up the story. It's like, no, man, like, you have young cores. Some will make it, some won't. Interest is seeing, like, the potential that they have, and you wonder what it could be. Like, that, what sports are. Like, understand that you're saying, like, this isn't real life and you can control the narrative, but it's like, you can't, if you have a bunch of young guys, not all of them are going to be fucking future world champions. Some are going to make it, some aren't. Some are you going to push to make it, and they're going to be big stars. Some you may push, and they won't make it. But you can't push all of them all at the same time in the same time frame. You have to give people time to cycle up, cycle down, cycle up, cycle down. That's how that works. That's storytelling. That's also real life in sports. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you, but, like, yeah. The 18-year-old's probably going to step into the venue and get his brains beat in. That's how that goes. Sorry.
Yeah, and like, this whole thing kind of peaked with Swerve breaking Nick Wayne's arm, kind of like one of those arm snaps.
Yep.
Giving the JML driver.
I love, because it makes he gets such great sound off of whatever he does to make that sound. I think he slaps both thighs, but it sounds like it sounds legit. You can actually, like, suspend this with, like, oh, okay, yeah, that person has to give up. I remember he did that in he did on a show on a dark match that ended up getting played on NXT one time in Brooklyn, in Barclays. The crowd wasn't really into it. He did that. The crowd, oh, and I was like, okay. This is before you knew him, and I was like, I think this dude, like, knows what he's doing at a higher level than just an average old wrestler. And then he's shown and proved that time after time after time. So
like, gave him the JML points at Darby, essentially, like, kind of gave him the point, letting him know he's coming for him. Stared down his mom after the match. Nick Wayne's mom was ringside. I wish they could have gotten more focus after the match. Like, I think there should have been, like, an extended beatdown. Maybe perhaps the arm injury and the JML driver were enough, but I would have liked them to really drive it home to force Darby to come, run to the ring and, like, and chase Swerve off or something. But hopefully they'll get more time for that. We just had to play that rap video beforehand, so had to get on the show. So after that,
so Rich,
we got
Oh, actually no. I'll save my point. Go ahead. Sorry.
After that, we got the fifth men revealed for Blood and Guts. So Don Callis walked to the ring alone. This angle was incredible. So Don walks to the ring alone, says Omega and the Elite, they deserve what's coming to them at Blood and Guts. Omega's a coward and a punk. Kenny walked to the ring by himself, Dolo, no shirt, of course. But he's attacked by Jon Moxley and Takeshita in the aisle. Fights him off kind of, and then all of a sudden you start seeing somebody in some underwear carrying a chair, like, and like the camera's like panning, like you weren't supposed to see it yet.
Camera betrayed this shot. Yep.
And then I was like, oh, that's Pac. And then I was like, that makes all the sense in the world. I didn't even think of him. And then
also it's a callback to when like Pac there was a time in like late 2019 where Pac was just like putting Omega in the jump zone left and right with the same chair, just running up behind that man and crashing the back of his head. I was like, oh, he bringing that back. Okay.
Yep. So after that, they start all whooping Kenny's ass, bring him into the ring. Callis hits him with the bedazzled loafers. Callis is like playing it up a lot. Pac took the mic, said Kenny has no idea how long he's waited for this. Omega shattered his nose. Pac is lying through the hate because like Kenny's not the one that broke his nose. It was one of the other two, but he's so dedicated to hate. Kenny did it. Fuck you. And you took his trios belt from him. So you're going to pay the price. They put Kenny's head inside of the...
they went to Pillmanize his head, his neck.
Pillmanize the neck and the head. And then Kenny looks like a fucking anime villain. Moxley was like, you got any last words? Like... And he's like, play the video. And he started like laughing. And watch the screen. And then all of a sudden... a large "he's coming" flash, which immediately was screen grabbed as a meme. Then,
God, yo, grow the fuck up.
Yeah. And then we started hearing the music, and we started seeing Tetsuya Naito getting his ass drugged by Kota Ibushi, and Kota Ibushi all on the screen. The crowd pops. Amazing that they knew who this person was in Saskatoon, Canada, James.
Right.
And he's the fifth man for the Elite. I'm going insane in the group chats. Love this. Lights come back on, and it's not Sabu. It's the Young Bucks and Hangman Page. Hangman Page with the double buckshot. Bucks sending Pac, Callis to catch the packing. This is the best, like, or one of the most underrated parts of this was like Jon Moxley on the outside of the ring, and they left like the camera on him for so long, pissed. And he's pissed, and he's just like cussing, and like he's like, how the fuck did they get Kota Ibushi in this match?
Like, what do you mean how? Like they're friends, nigga. That's how.
So they got fucking Ibushi in this match. Right. What the fuck? Like,
and another part that's cool is like, bro, can you think about like 6 years ago? Can you ever imagine Dean Ambrose / Jon Moxley in the same ring as Kota Ibushi 6 years ago? Like, what is this timeline?
Bro, this shit broke. This is the only time in the simulation that it broke this way. Let's look at the fucking talent in this match. This should be, like, if you look at this should be the greatest war games of all time.
I mean, like, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Two of the most talented pro wrestlers to ever live. A guy that's a wrestler of the decade contender. Another guy that could probably be the best wrestler of the next, be one of the 2 or 3 best wrestlers of the next decade in Takeshita. Ditto for Hangman Page. Cesaro, one of the greatest wrestlers ever. Yeah. Danielson, also one of the greatest wrestlers ever. This is loaded.
Danielson was unable to compete in the match. It would have been even worse.
Yeah.
Look, Pac is the replacement.
Oh, that's right. Oh, Pac is the replacement. Pac, another one of the most gifted guys I've ever seen in the ring. Yeah. I gotta say, man, I keep seeing all these guys rolling up to AEW Dynamite. I'm like, another one for Wednesday, huh? So, this is gonna be great. Blood and Guts tomorrow night in Boston. Looks like the show recovered ticket sales wise. We were, they announced it by like Blood and Guts like 3 weeks ago.
Think so, yeah.
Yeah, like they weren't moving like that. Like Blood and Guts moved these tickets.
Yeah,
like not necessarily like the fifth people or the ninth and 10th men, but like once they announced Blood and Guts, these tickets moved.
Yeah,
because they were around 6,000. They were below 6,000 before then, like 3 weeks ago, and they were doing updates on WrestleTix. And then like you look up now, and now they're at like 8,000 something. These shits moved off of Blood and Guts. And remember, I was, me and you were both saying like, hey, this Boston thing ain't looking at well, and they might want to announce Blood and Guts, and sure enough, they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a banner night in the promotion, a banner night for this rivalry. Like, this seems like it's going to end it here. I don't know,
there will be.
If this is going to split out into singles after that, but I think this thing ends with the Elite winning. They've protected that, I think, for quite a while now. The last match, Tomohiro Ishii won over Wheeler Yuta. The BC1 Anarchy and Arena. It seems like the babyfaces are going to stand tall on this one.
Yeah.
And I don't think bringing Kota Ibushi in and then like put him on the losing side is smart. So I think there's, I think this is the peak kind of like, like the Golden Elite thing has come back. It's just all real like interesting to see how they play it. And this, it's like this All In. It's like I know a lot of fans that are watching this thing. It's like, all right, like what's like next for all these guys? Like, is this like the final run? Like into All In? Like it's like just get to All In almost. Like, and there's a lot of stuff like swirling around all this. But while we're on this journey, I would advise people to enjoy what you're seeing because things always change, but Kota Ibushi was in the first All In, and he finally arrived here. And it was always leading to this.
So, Rich, I had a thought sometime last week. So, Golden Lovers is they're a brotherhood, they're a friendship, they're a bond, but they're also a rivalry. And they had that match at Budokan, right? DDT. And they always said they wanted to have a match that could top that if they ever got to Budokan. Well, Wembley Stadium is right around the corner, and I gotta say, there's no match I think I'd rather see than him versus Ibushi in front of 70,000+ people. You could say Ospreay for the third time. I wouldn't disagree, but as a longtime Kenny Omega fan, I feel like this is the one I'd want to see at this particular venue the most because of like the journey of where they started to where they ended up. And that is like the all-timer for me if I could get those two together.
Yeah.
There. No knock against the Ospreay thing because the Ospreay match might end up actually being better. But the third one, but I just think as a long-time person that has watched Kenny Omega's career and Kota Ibushi's career, and, Ibushi's one of the 4 most important people for me ever to watch Japanese pro wrestling, I kind of want to see that there. I kind of do. I'm not finna root for it or say, oh my God, we're only getting Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay. No, but I'm just saying like this is my list. That's at the top. That's it.
Yeah. And it's like, if it's not the Dome, if it's not Madison Square Garden, what other like things are as big as something like this? Like this is like, I don't want to say it's once in a lifetime, but it's like it's some shit that ain't really been done. And then like Kenny versus Ibushi, start the fucking engines now. That would be incredible. I didn't even think about that until you mentioned it.
I was thinking about it because it's like, all right, you're still trying to think like what's Kenny going to do, and obviously you're thinking Ospreay, but it's like if it's not going to be Ospreay, if they don't want to give that slot to another New Japan guy or whatever else, then they could do that match, and you could be like, you ain't got to worry about trying to build up some huge thing. Everyone already knows what the fuck's going on. Everybody knows the Golden Lovers lore. It's part of the reason why the promotion exists. So it's like, you could do that. You can put that in the semi-main. You can go out there and have your match of the year contender and those two can celebrate and have a happy, and whoever wins, like, you have your happy ending, and there's no cost to either one of them winning or losing, and you can move on. And you also don't know the availability of Kota Ibushi anyway, as far as, is he actually in, or is he just going to be here as a special attraction? You don't know. But so while you're here, let's fucking get this match, because you don't know how much longer those two are going to be able to wrestle at that kind of level, because they're both approaching 30 or 40, if not R40.
Yep. And like, you never know, like, which way this wrestling business will take these people. Like, so
right.
Lock it in.
Because I got to tell you, I don't think that they'll be able to do WrestleMania 41 in Wembley with Ibushi and Omega. I just don't think that's going to be able to fit. I don't think that's what this man will have in mind for Mr. Ibushi, especially after Ibushi gave that man a high five like he was any old regular person. He probably hates that man's guts. So yeah, man. I kind of think WrestleMania 41 will be, visual pin off of the One Wing Angel kick out from Roman Reigns, and then Samoan Spike, and then a spear, and get the fuck out of there for 41. So I don't know if Ibushi will be able to fit on that one.
You want to throw any super kicks in on that one? You want to do they could put the bloodline back together, and then Ken could stick his head through the top.
I think that's for 42. I think that's for 42.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
They'll
come back around by 42.
So enjoy this shit now. Look, enjoy this shit now, because this shit could be the final arc. The whole thing with the BCC, that it always seemed like it was leading there to the Elite versus BCC. There's Takesha that's waiting in the wings, and then are the Bucks going to get back into the tag division from here? Who knows? It would be.
Could be some trios thing with the Humbucks. Could be some trios thing with Young Bucks and Ibushi. Who knows? We don't know.
Yep. So I did not see the much heralded FTR versus the Bang Bang Gang match that a lot of people are raving about.
Heard great things.
Not gonna take anything away from it. Heard it went very long. So I'm gonna have to catch that when I catch it. However, I did see the men's Owen Hart final, and we talked about this last week. And it went away where I didn't anticipate that finish. However, I did anticipate that finish in a sense. So I thought CM Punk was going to win this thing pretty handily. They, had him cutting the fiery Owen Hart promos, and they generally have just pushed him like a babyface through. They had him fight Samoa Joe.
Right.
And the whole thing with Ricky, we mentioned him going through the tournament relatively unimpressively, and that continued in this final.
I mean, and also had them, in a Quattros match where he took the pin instead of one of the FTR guys.
Yeah. So now that can be kind of looked at now as a tip off for turning him, and
right. He was going to turn anyway, so you may as well get whatever you can out of him losing as babyface to help the other guys on the other side. Yeah.
So they have this match, and there are so many funny dynamics at play here. One, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. 2, Owen Hart final. Martha Hart's right there. 3, Calgary's not playing along. They are booing CM Punk. CM Punk starts doing all his Bret Hart moves. They start chanting Owen over him. So I was talking tongue in cheek, a couple weeks ago when I was saying, I hope he remembers to pay tribute to the right brother. I never thought that this would actually kind of come to life in the fashion that it did. He's wearing the Bret Hart gear, shorts, pink ones, with the Bret Hart font design. And he's
why can't he just turn him into the short trunks and then they be the Owen stuff? Because the Bret and the Owen stuff is almost identical, except for one wore long johns, the other one wore the cut off, almost like compression shorts.
Right, you could easily throw a King of Hearts style thing on there,
right.
Look
how many slammies CM Punk went. Put the slammies on the side of his shit.
Right. Try an Inseguri or something. Try a move that Owen Hart did. instead of just running through the entire Bret Hart thing, and then he was gassed. He was sucking wind. He was showing his age. Ricky wasn't really doing anything like to where it was like it was like there was bad chemistry going on here. Like,
you know
it
what the
just
sad
wasn't.
thing is? Now, I haven't watched this match, but you described it as CM Punk is out of gas. He's sucking wind, and Ricky wasn't doing much either. He was just there. It's like, okay, go ahead, continue, Rich. Sorry.
Yeah, and like I saw this, and I was like, I saw the finish happen, and I was like, wow. The one thing that I said that he would
what was
do.
the finish?
So the finish was, there was kind of like he was caught him in like a victory roll kind of position. But Ricky Starks was right next to the ropes. So it's literally the same finish that Ruby Soho and Britt Baker did a couple weeks ago, where Ruby was by the ropes holding on or whatever to steal the match. That's what Ricky Starks did. And the ref, but they executed it to where the ref was staring directly at Ricky Starks as he grabs the ropes, counts the pin anyway, because, you know, you weren't supposed to make that eye contact or whatever, but fuck that. Counts the pin 1, 2, and then Ricky like sticks his arms out and just falls down in 3. And I'm like, what did they do this for? This is dumb on a few levels. The opening promo he cut, he came out with that red bag, said, I have this until someone beats me for it. Ricky Starks beats him. I don't care whether it's clean, dirty, whatever. That's not how this promotion operates. Right. That's like, you know, MJF's running around with his fucking ring for years and years, and then
clocking people left and right,
and they call him a winner. They don't say he cheated or anything like, you know, we talk about, oh yeah, you know, it was dirty or whatever, but they don't acknowledge that as a dirty win. They say MJF, you know, he found a way or whatever.
Yep.
But the one thing I said that would have to happen, because CM Punk was not turning, he was being actually turned on here. They count to 3. Ricky runs out the ring, sprints up the aisle. Jushin Liger is waiting for him with the trophy.
I saw this.
Grabs the fucking trophy, runs off, holds it up again. Liger's trying to shake his hand.
And Liger's like, what the fuck? Come shake my hand.
Yeah, and then Ricky's out of there. And I'm like, they brought Jushin Thunder Liger over here for this?
No. They didn't just bring out Jushin Thunder Liger. They brought out Jushin Thunder Liger, and he had on his good hair.
Yes.
He had on the full ensemble. Like, yeah. It wasn't like the short set, the summer set joint where he's like, you see the bald head and, you know, he's letting half his scalp breathe and under that. It's actually the full go gear for the scene, and they brought him out there just for that. Unbelievable.
Yeah. So I saw this and I was in awe at what happened. I'm like, all right, are they trying to do the thing where they're like, oh yeah, CM Punk will lose to somebody, but of course he loses in, like, this is a candidate for a fake job. So Ricky, I guess it's good in a sense for Ricky, because I don't think him as a babyface was ever going to fly like that. He's not nearly as spectacular offensively to pull it off. And then, like, you're clearing out like the Collision baby faces, like the number 2 baby faces, Andrade on Collision, it seems like, and good luck with that. Nothing against him as a wrestler. It's just I don't see people really wanting to take that ride with him. And then CM Punk, the whole time the reactions in this match are fucked up. They do the swerve where they like, it's almost like they want to cheer, but it's like, hold on, this guy just did something mischievous. So I think it's better for Ricky in the long run to be a heel. That probably goes with giving it back to CM Punk at some point. CM Punk does not win this tournament, but Ricky does. I think it blows up the entire bag story that he was trying to do. And ultimately, you know, they let him beat Samoa Joe kind of in questionable fashion. Like, as far as like people that have, you know, invested in the Punk Joe story for years and years that are watching it were very underwhelmed with that finish and the match and the decision to do it there. Right. And it's like, well, if Punk wasn't winning this, why couldn't you just have Samoa Joe beat him then? But maybe they felt like they couldn't turn Ricky on Joe because Joe is a heel already. So either someone's in denial because they didn't know how. Like, it seems like they're rolling the dice. They're like, well, we don't know if CM Punk's going to get cheered or booed, so here's our plan. And they weren't, diverting from it. Like, this was CM Punk designed to be a babyface, and it just didn't fly like that. That's what the whole thing is like. Yeah, you can react to him however you want. I don't think that works in the long run because cities are too random, and then other people start getting caught up in it, and eventually you have to work with people. So,
right, like it's fine. It's fine for the actual act that's getting booed or cheered, regardless of the reaction. The problem is the opponent is one that suffers from the indifference or the weirdness of the crowd that is subject to, because like you're not actually getting reactions based off what you're doing. That person's getting all the reactions, and you're just left to try to hold on for dear life to try to get out of the fucking match. So, yeah, man. You mentioned this. You talk about like, yeah, he could be, instead of the distant number 2 babyface in the on that side, on the single side. It's like, all right, well, where is he now on the heel side? It feels like he's now lower than that because like he's not higher than Jay White. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it feels like, and then Samoa Joe also. So it's
right.
Like,
but then again, the thing is like Joe, I can't trust him to be healthy. So I'm, But if you can tell me Samoa Joe is going to give me 30 TV matches, or 25 to 30 TV matches, and yeah, he will be number 2 heel over Ricky Starks because he's a better talker than Ricky Starks, even though Ricky Starks is still a great talker. But Joe's an all-timer. And
then like you're thinking about like the whole thing with Hobbs as well. Man, I was just really unimpressed with Ricky's tournament. It just never got there for me. It's just like the in-ring is not there, like at a top level. They're going to try something else, I think, with him. Like they'll
do some MJF-ian type of thing with him, and that'll look. I think, quite frankly, that'll work out for the best for him because I think he's better at that stuff than the actual match stuff. So, like, if you get him out the ring, sure. But the thing with MJF is like, he's doing it to get heat, and then he'll give you a match that can, that shows you that he is one of the better wrestlers on earth. Ricky Starks isn't one of the better wrestlers on earth. No knock against him. He's just a good wrestler in a crowd full of great wrestlers.
I think with Ricky too, he is the potential danger here is he's the kind of heel that gets cheered, and that could make for some interesting reactions as well, because it's almost true. Like it's like, all right, he did this turn. It's like, what's his real, like, what kind of heat is he gonna get?
So it's like the Adam Cole it's like Adam Cole NXT stuff.
Yeah, it's like, all right, you screwed over CM Punk. Cool, we're booing that guy anyway.
Half the crowd, half the crowd. Yeah, already hates
so
him,
it's like, I just don't know where he gets it from. Like, does he just lean into arrogance and whatever? Like, because we got like kind of a glimpse, like with the Liger interaction. It's like, oh, okay, you just celebrate on your own. You did it all by yourself. Whatever. I don't know which way they go with it. I'm open for them to try to book around my skepticism right now, but just off of what I've seen, like, looking at how they, like, I did not enjoy this tournament this year.
So my question is this right now. I'm thinking of people that like haven't been on TV in a minute. What do you think of like once Ricky Starks gets past whatever this initial thing is with CM Punk, if there is anything with CM Punk? Like, what do you think about him with potentially like him working a program with Wardlow as Wardlow's babyface and he's the heel? How do you think that's going to go? Do you think is that something you want to watch?
I think Wardlow is kind of struggling at the moment. He hasn't been on Collision since the beginning.
Right, since the first episode when he lost the TNT title, yeah.
I would,
that's why he came to mind for me.
I think the problem is, like, Ricky is such a good talker. I think it would be almost counterproductive, and he almost has to get squashed on the end, and then Ricky just ends up lower unless you're picking between Ricky and Wardlow.
I wasn't doing the picking one or the other. I was just saying as far as just a program to do, because it's like two people that the crowd cares about still. And you put on Collision, and it's not like, oh my God, the FTR goes another 30 plus minutes on a TV match.
You know, I wouldn't be against it. You know, I just think there are some pitfalls like there, and then I said, Ricky,
Brewhaven suggestion Fire and Ice Part 2.
Hey, I've heard a lot of people suggest that Warlow and Hobbs, and
hey man, you need to go to Peacock. Go to the WCW Nitro tab. Go to like 1996 or 95 in that bitch and go watch you some Night Train and Scott Norton.
That's so funny.
Some Fire and Ice. That's exactly what that shit is. Leave that shit where it was in the 90s.
That is so funny. But yeah, the entire CM Punk thing, it's like, all right, maybe he's not going towards MJF. The whole thing with Ricky's still confusing, and then the tournament, I did not feel it this year.
Gotcha.
Please put some luchadors in there next time. Please put some hybrid people. Please put some flyers and exciting workers in this thing next year, please.
Or I mean, you can put in meat and potatoes dudes too, just make them better. Like obviously Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy was in there. You eliminated him early. O'Reilly would have been awesome in here, like he was last year in it. It just wasn't the tournament. Like they put most of it, and they put all that stuff. Also, the thing is, like, it didn't help to put all that shit on one show instead of putting it on both shows, and splitting it between. For like, as far as like what we think of the makeup of the rosters and the split so far, like they didn't really like. You should have put some A, B, C, C member or an elite member in there or something like that.
Yep. Even if you're gonna eliminate them, like. What would like people have done if like CM Punk and like say like Matt Jackson was in there as a single and then like lost
on the other side of the
one
bracket?
On the other side of the bracket? You could have got some buzz for a couple weeks and be like, oh my god, are they gonna book them in the finals or something? But you know, I don't know. Like, and then like have like Matt Jackson face like Wheeler Yuta or something, and then put Wheeler through, and then Wheeler loses to whoever the fuck. But yeah, I you know, they went away. I didn't expect. I didn't expect for Punk to lose here, but we will see where that goes. But as far as like, you know, I think he's got a, you know, conditioning wise and, you know, in ring conditioning wise, it's like there's some opportunities there, I think. So I don't know if he was like showing his age there or what, but you know, he's not that far off from, he's like the same generation as Hiroshi Tanahashi, kind of AJ Styles. Like, I don't know how long people are expecting this thing to hold up, like as far as like, you know, like, he's not going to give you best in the world level stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, and I don't know if people are tricking themselves into thinking that's what this is, but I think, you know, they let him. This has been a month now of Collision, or like four different weeks.
No excuses. Period. Like,
he's wrestled 3 out of 4 weeks.
I don't think it's really realistic for anyone to expect him to be out here cranking out 4.5-star matches. But like, you can like before he fucking left last time, he was having 4-star matches, 4.25-star matches. If he can do that, he should be fine. He ain't done it yet, except for when he's been carried by FTR.
Yeah, and like I think we got enough tape on him to evaluate it. I'm like, all right, instead of wrestling like 4 or 5 times in 5 weeks, maybe we should drop him to like 2 times in 4 weeks or 5 weeks, and then start leaning into his promo ability. The only thing is, I don't know how much he actually has to say right now, because
he doesn't have an opponent yet. It doesn't seem right.
Unless it's Ricky going forward, right? And it's like, all right,
right. And we thought it was going to be like Jay White, and Jay White's he's been passed off to FTR, much like John Laurinaitis and employees that work at WWE.
Damn. But yeah, it's like you got to build a whole new thing now. So I look forward to see if he can do it. You know, he can talk. Like, never take that away from him, but I just don't know what, like, the primary thing when Collision started, I think people were excited to see CM Punk get on the mic. He gave him the little jabs, and then from there, if you were there for that, you have got nothing since on that end. So we'll see what happens, but this tournament wasn't a fan.
I have only watched the first 2 episodes of Collision. I'll watch the FTR, or I'll watch the 2 FTR Jay White matches from the past 2 weeks, but I'll probably try and cherry pick the rest of that so I don't have to watch, 6 hours of wrestling that I missed. So, yeah, I'll get back into it.
Zach Michael, let's keep it a buck. Do we really want to see a Jay White versus Punk match? Like, that's a carry job. Jay White chopping CM Punk, we got a taste of it in some of those tag matches and stuff, which is I think it's an interesting match from a standpoint of like, all right, these guys aren't really from the same kind of generations or like lines of, this guy's from New Japan Dojo and he's like just turned 30 years old. CM Punk's in his mid 40s and was like in Ring of Honor in the 2000s. It's cool as kind of like a cross generation kind of thing, right? But is that like one of my 20 most anticipated matches? No, like it's not.
Yeah. Look, I feel like those two are talented enough as talkers to get you to care about a match, and that's all that matters. It just, when does the challenge come for CM Punk after failing here to go to the next thing, or is he going to go straight after Ricky Starks? If he goes after Ricky Starks thing, it's like, they made that work until the bell rings. The Jay White thing is like, you move on from there. Okay, cool. I know that like they can make that work, and the match will also work when the bell rings because Jay White is a great wrestler in the ring. He does shit that pisses me off a lot, but he's still great nonetheless.
I'm deeply suspicious that CM Punk is at the beginning stages of a storyline that sees him get screwed until he snaps.
Oh, God damn it.
This is bullshit on television. And once again,
he's going to push Tony Khan down to the mat.
And once again, he's stealing from Bret Hart. It snaps, and then that'll give him the impetus to turn because he's been getting screwed. Never put it past him. I have
think
nothing
that's all we got
else
for the show, right?
Yeah, I have nothing else. I think that's a great place to tap out here.
Yeah. That's the end of the show, y'all. Thanks for listening. If you're watching from the stream, go to the Cash App, go to the PayPal and donate there. If you are listening from the podcast, go to the show notes and go to the red circle link and you can donate there. And be sure to listen to the other shows on the network. Besides One Nation Radio, you have Keepin It Strong Style, the Ricky and Clive Wrestling Show, Grown Men Watch This Shit, the Grave Consequences Podcast, All Things Elite, Great Match Generator, Get in the Ring, Meet the Press Slam, and
Wrestling Disaster, I believe.
The Wrestling Disaster. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what the new name is. So yeah,
Danny's switching the gimmick again on y'all.
Yeah, that man switched names like Vin drove flip colors on the Chevy. Anyway, thanks for listening, y'all.
Later. Big shout out to Floyd Johnson and Austin. 200th episode of All Things Elite.
All Things Elite.
As All Things Elite, yes. So make sure you guys check out that show. That comes, I think they're doing it Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. So, happy 200, guys.
Yeah, congratulations, y'all. All right, but thanks for listening, y'all. That's in the show. Later.
Peace.